What's happening, everybody? I'm Larry.
I'm Vito.
And we're with Geeking Poetic Podcast. And for this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about one of our favorite, most iconic actors of all time, Mr.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger. Good old Arnie. Yeah, we're going to talk about our favorite movies of his and how he's got to be where he is now. Of course, we're going to always have to do our top 5 favorite Arnie movies. Man, is it hard.
It is. It's a hard one.
So hard this time, but it's going to make for some good debate. Megan picked out some interesting choices as well. Oh boy. So, what are we going to talk about? Better stay tuned. Get to the chopper! And we're live.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening? How you doing?
Good. Good.
Yeah?
Real good.
Doing real good? Doing real good.
Tired, but good.
Yeah. Nah, that seems to be our credo lately.
Yeah.
Just
We had a long night yesterday and
tired.
so tired.
Yeah, so tired. I am so tired. Do you know that song? Probably
No.
not. It's an it's an obscure Ozzy song.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not a particularly good one.
No.
But we are. We should tell them who the fuck we are. Well, I mean, if you're watching this or listening to this, you probably know who we are. We are Geeking Poetic Podcast, and I am one of your hosts, Larry Roberts, and in front of me I have...
Vito Marchese.
And to my left I have...
Mr. Pickles.
So Mr. Pickles is he like administration? He's higher than you?
Yeah, he's the boss.
Yeah, that's true.
You,
Okay.
you know this from our teaser.
He's
Oh,
got a
that's-
boss look to him right now.
Yeah, he says...
does, see?
Yeah, look at him. He's like, I am the fucking boss. She knows what's up.
It's like, just do your jobs, get to work.
Yeah.
Stop messing around.
Do your damn job. Take some more notes there, girly.
I know, I got one line. I'm sorry. I'm slacking.
All right. Well, then to Mr. Pickles left, we have...
Megan Guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's good to be back. It seemed like we had, before the Mars episode, we'd had such a long break from doing this podcast thing. It's awesome to be like, doing it again fairly soon.
Yeah.
Fix myself here.
Yeah, what are you doing over there?
I'm a
You're
mess.
fighting with everything?
I'm just hairy. People didn't notice I got a haircut. People are like, yeah, some fucking haircut. Well, if you remember, my hair used to be all the way down to here, so it's still a haircut. It still counts, but
I got a haircut the other night. So.
it got clean shaven man. So
It's the way to do it.
yeah, it's
Enough
gotta
for
be.
that hair.
It's gotta be nice in the summer, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
You just dump a bottle of water on your head and you're instantly cold. It's
Yeah.
great.
yeah. That's a nice advantage of it. But so what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing here today?
What we doing is we talking about our main man, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger. We're talking about Arnold. Yeah, because we're all fans of Arnold, so it's kind of been the theme of our first podcast is like, okay, what are the things that we all have in common that we're like big fans of? That's why we're not talking about like Gary Busey or something like that.
Hopefully we will.
We
in the
will at
future.
some point, but I mean, I don't know that Megan's gonna be like fucking fist pumping like fucking Gary Busey, man.
So exciting.
Yeah, we're picking our faves here, and I mean, especially for this guy in front of me, to say Schwarzenegger's a favorite,
Dude. Yeah, I mean, for me growing up, action stars, it was fucking Schwarzenegger, Steven Seagal. Mainly just those two dudes. Like, I was never into Stallone, really, and Bruce
Yeah.
Willis I didn't care for. And...
Well, when you were a kid, Bruce Willis had to work up to it. Because, I mean, when did Die Hard come out? Like 89?
Yeah, and I have not seen Die Hard from beginning to end. So
What?
yeah, I've
My
seen,
head just exploded.
I think I've seen most of the third one,
Oh my god.
but
Whoa.
yeah,
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay, so we're like 3 minutes into this, and Vito's already dropping bombs here, man. Like, you of all people, how could you have not seen the Die Hard movies?
I don't know. I just was never like exposed to them growing up, so I never like watched them.
Oh
I don't know.
wow.
Best Christmas movie ever.
Is it a big debate of whether or not it's
Yeah.
a Christmas
No,
movie
there's
or
no
not?
debate.
It's a Christmas
There's
movie?
no debate. It's just it's a Christmas movie.
Oh, there's a debate because
No.
I don't consider it a Christmas movie.
Oh hell no.
Well, I'm just saying. Wow, man. Fuck talking about Schwarzenegger. We should just do this whole thing about fucking Die Hard because, man, we're just bombs dropping like Baghdad over here. Holy shit. Like, fucking, like, yeah. No, I mean, I get why people call it a Christmas movie, but it's not a Christmas movie. It's not a holiday movie. It takes place during then, but so what?
I can't even talk to you right now. We will officially, maybe we'll have to do this for Christmas.
No, yeah. You know
It'll be our
what?
Christmas.
You know what? Fair enough, man. Let's just we're talking about it, so let's lay that out there, man. Maybe we will maybe that'll be like a special. Maybe that should be part of our Christmas special. We should like do like a Die Hard special because you've never seen it really.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it many times. You've seen it. You love that movie,
Mhm,
right?
I love those movies.
Yeah. So maybe we should make that a thing. Like you got to watch it. I got to prove Megan's wrong. You know, and we'll just make a good.
And I'll be like the judge if it's a Christmas movie or not.
Right, yeah, especially because we have a brand new
Yeah.
opinion on it.
We got virgin eyes to let us know.
Right, exactly. So there you go. Yeah. So
All right, it's on.
All right.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
All
Yeah.
right.
so anybody that's
Taking you down.
yeah, anybody that's listening to us right now, we're probably going to do that in December. So already start thinking of shit. You know, if you've got points to make, arguments to make about each side, you know, whether you're going to take Megan's side or take the right side, and then, you know, what?
I am whipping your ass as soon as we get off this air. Mr. Pickles may come across this table at you at any moment.
Well, anyway. So, yeah, but I getting back to it. So, I mean, Die Hard and all that came out when you were a kid, but it was a little later. So you probably
Yeah, but even, would you say 88?
89, I think, was the
89.
first one. But
Well,
that movie wasn't like I mean, like now Die Hard is fucking Die Hard. It was popular, but it became much more so later over the years. You know,
Yeah.
where something like T2 was popular right away. Like that was a smash hit. Die Hard, it took a while, and it took nostalgia and people looking back on it to go, you know, because I'm sure you probably didn't see it when it came out new, right, Meg?
No.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's one that's gotten more popular over the years. And Bruce Willis wasn't, that was kind of the weird thing about it, is he wasn't, everybody now would go, oh yeah, Bruce Willis
But
actually.
he was the dude
action
from
star.
Moonlighting or whatever.
Right. Which I love that show. That's a fucking great show. But he was a comedian and a musician.
Really?
That's what he was known for. He was known to be like kind of like the funny romantic role guy. Boy, that changed, you know. So yeah, I mean, but okay.
He's romantic in that movie I can't think of
Well, there you go.
with John Travolta.
Oh,
Yeah, that one.
yeah.
What the hell's that movie called?
It made a lasting impact, obviously.
No, it's a great movie
Talking
with.
Pulp Fiction?
There we go.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
He was in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the whole thing with the dreaded gimp scene and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
not talk about that.
I liked him in Surrogates. You guys ever see Surrogates?
No.
No.
Like 10 years old or so.
Hmm.
Like people would go into like a virtual world and they would have like these robots that would like live their lives for them. They could be anything they wanted to be.
Oh,
It was
okay.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like Bruce Willis. I've heard that he's a complete pain in the ass to deal with, but I mean,
He is male.
wow.
You
So
started it.
the tone has been set for this. This is going to be a real interesting, interesting episode of the podcast, man. Because There's just a lot of feistiness.
But how much
around.
more manly can you get than Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger?
You can't.
The dude's like a fucking god among gods. The dude's a fucking badass.
Yeah. Well, and,
Schwarzenegger's the man.
yeah, and what's cool about him is that he's gotten portrayed because of his accent and especially some of his earlier roles when he couldn't speak English as well and everything, and he just has that slower way of talking, because when he talks fast, you can't understand what the hell he's saying half the time. That I think he's gotten that rep for being like a meathead. I mean, it's just like the joke, like the SNL skit with the pump.
Yeah,
you up,
yeah.
That whole thing.
Hans and Franz.
Yeah, Hans and Franz, right. And just kind of being like, Arnold, like he's in it. That dude's
He's incredibly intelligent.
Extremely
Yeah.
intelligent, very well schooled, like and disciplined.
Disciplined like a motherfucker.
And,
man.
very smart about business,
Mhm.
obviously about politics, as we know, because he became governor and everything. Yeah, I think he's a very admirable person. I don't know, he's pretty private, so I don't know much about, hopefully we're not going to find out some horrible, things about him like we seem to be doing about everybody else famous
Yeah.
nowadays,
Yeah.
learning all of their dreadful secrets. But from what I know about Arnold, man, he's just such a good dude. If you read or things about him or hear other actors and directors and different people talk
Especially
about
him like being on set with the other actors. He's like one of
Really
them. He's not
funny.
like, I'm just the dude that's in the trailer. Don't talk to me, So.
Yeah, really funny dude, like just he likes things to be happy and fun and enjoyable, and he wants everybody to have a good time, and it's
Yeah.
like that's awesome. He's not now who would you say? You said Schwarzenegger and who?
Steven Seagal, which is probably the complete opposite.
I was just gonna say.
But I heard it like in real life, like if you met him, and he doesn't really do conventions, but I heard if you actually go to meet him at a meet and greet, he's like a super nice dude. But he just gets a bad rep on set of being a jag-off and being pompous and arrogant and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So everybody. Again, you hear so many of these stories, and it's all going to be a matter of perspective,
Yeah.
and if you caught him at the right time or the wrong time
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. But, real quick though, speaking of, because you said Seagal and Schwarzenegger, but what about like Van Damme, man?
Yeah, that was my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was all about Van Damme.
There's really like 3 movies I like from Van Damme.
Okay.
There's Time Cop.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hard Target. And
Bloodsport.
see, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not into... See, it's weird. I'm not into those 80s cheesy action films or whatever you want to call it. But I love Seagal and Schwarzenegger, I'm just weird when it comes to certain movies.
You really
yeah.
are.
You-
Oh, and Street Fighter, the movie, obviously.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
I like Bloodsport. I mean, it's ridiculous, but so are the other ones.
My favorite was Lionheart.
Okay.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
I did. I think once. I think. It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
it's been a long time. I'll have to.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to talk about old Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's not my gag. That's an old what's his fucking face? Blonde guy. I don't know. Anyway, it's somebody else's joke, but anyway. So I mean, when did you first I'll start with you because we all love Arnold, but you're the biggest fan. When did you first discover Arnold? Like, what was your first like movie or first thing where you were like, oh, this dude, is a badass?
It had to have been Terminator 2.
Oh, okay.
Had to
So it
have
was
been.
right there with that, huh?
Yeah. Because that was 91.
Mhm.
I was, 9?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. It had to have been Terminator 2. If not that, it might have been Predator. I might have caught that on TV or something. But T2 has that lasting impression on me since as far as I can remember,
Oh, we know that. I mean, that movie's pretty much, without any spoilers of the rest of the podcast, we know that movie is pretty much like the apex of it all for you, man. It's like it's like T2 is Well, what were you tell people what you were considering doing, and you've talked yourself out of as far as now
For this episode?
Or where you were going to go.
Texas.
Oh, yeah. So Arnold is doing like one of the first, I think the first convention appearances ever. You can get a meet and greet with him, an autograph, picture and all that for like $1,250. And I was at work debating for 6 hours whether or not I should do that or not. Fly to Texas for a day just to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and blow probably $2,000 for the whole trip or whatever, just to meet him for like 5 minutes.
You got to be careful how you phrase that, because you said just to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and blow. And I was like, damn, man, that's fucking dedication.
That's some love.
That is a hardcore fan, man.
It's a good thing I'm editing the audio for this one, because I know when you two got a hold of this episode, you'd fucking cut that up. Like Chris did the Paul on that one song.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I'm not that cruel. I'm not Chris.
We'll get it for the bloopers.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not Chris Wisco or Paul Kerr, because those assholes would get their hands on it, and oh my god, forget about it. Yeah, I mean, I cannot honestly think of anybody alive that I would say, oh yeah, I'd pay. I mean, never mind all the costs of just getting down there and all that I would pay $1,200 to meet. There's nobody. You know, people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, but what if you could meet, Kiss or blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, I've had so many opportunities to meet people like that, Kiss, for free. And I've said no. Now, Arnold, though, at the very least, like we just said, by all accounts, from what I've heard, he's really cool. So I'm sure it's going to be super, super fucking brief, but I think it would at least be like something you would walk away from. Yeah, like being happy about.
Because I'm pretty sure tickets were limited to like 100 or 300, something like that.
Which is kind of cool.
And he's going to be there only one day. So you might have, I mean, if it's the whole day with 100 people going through the line.
You might get 10 minutes with him.
So you never know. I mean, to me, that's
you would be in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, that's Schwarzenegger. Like, he's never done something like that before, to my knowledge. So
yeah, what was that game kids would play? It was like 7 minutes in heaven or whatever it was. You go in the closet, and everything. This would be Vito's. This would be Vito's version of that. It'd be like 10 minutes in heaven, and it'd be just be him standing on the other side of a table, being able to be like, dude, and him saying, very nice to meet you, Vito, and everything, and Vito just being like, oh my fucking God. He said my name. I get it, man. I totally get it. Like, like I said, I wish there was somebody, there's nobody alive that I care about, I mean, and obviously if they're dead, but I don't know if I probably, if they weren't dead, I don't know if I would feel the same way about it, because I'd sit there and say, oh, well, if I could meet Randy Rhoads for 10 minutes, but would I feel that way if he was alive? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe, because that's a big influence on me. I used to walk around with a Randy Rhoads back patch on. I infamously drew the Randy Rhoads logo on my arm, pretending it was a tattoo when I was 13 years old. The double R. Like a douche. But so I can't really think of anybody. It's there's people I wouldn't possibly maybe mind meeting, but I wouldn't pay that kind of money for it. Yeah. But I get why they're charging that kind of money, though. I don't think people are like, oh, that's so greedy, and I'm like, yeah, there's financial gain there, obviously, but at the same time, there's not that much financial gain if there's only like 300 people. I mean, what is that going to be? 30 grand?
About, yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah, a little more. So 36 grand, even something if it was 40 grand. I mean, for a guy like Arnold, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. I think the money is purely a matter of like, let's weed out, because if you only made it $200, you'd get every douchebag on the planet.
Yeah.
Just saying, oh, I want to go meet Arnold, and I'm going to say pump you up and be an idiot about it. Yeah. This way, it's like if you're paying $1,250, it's like you're a dedicated dude or dudette, and like it's a way to make it more intimate and everything. So I get it. Like, I don't blame them for charging that much. I just wouldn't pay it.
Yeah.
So
it was a tough call, though, man. I was close.
Yeah, but So okay, Meg, what about you? Like, what do you remember? Like, what was your first real like exposure to Arnold and like being like, oh, I like him or I like his movies? What was it?
I've been thinking about this, and I want to say, I'm not positive, but I want to say it was Total Recall.
Okay.
I think.
That could be
It's
right.
a good movie to
You
start a
start-
fandom from. Yeah.
I remember I really liked it. I was probably really young.
I was just going to
It
say, you
came out
were.
in '89.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it when it first came out because we never went to the movies or anything.
Yeah, I didn't see it at the theater.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw that on TV 92 or somewhere
Yeah,
around,
probably somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I remember I really liked it. It was, for me, it was different.
Yeah, for sure.
And pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie's so good, man.
A cool concept.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, without spoilers, I think a lot of your it's kind of cool because you discovered him right at that age when he got into more versatile films too.
Mhm.
So
That influences my top 5.
right, I was just gonna say, you're not just like all about the action films and all that
No.
stuff.
No, I am not.
So my first exposure to him, oddly enough, it was 2 things that I remember seeing. One was I can't remember if I saw it on either Channel 9. I'm always talking about, like I did in the last episode, I talked about Channel 9, and it wasn't on Family Classics, obviously, but it was like the late night movie. I know I did see it on there, but I don't remember if it was the first time I saw it, or it was on late night television, or if it was on early pay television, pre-cable. I saw Scavenger Hunt. It's a wacky movie. It's like one of those wacky late 70s, early 80s movies with like kind of sort of an all-star cast and for the time, a lot of B stars and things like that. And it's about a scavenger hunt, like a big scavenger hunt. It was kind of a play on. Did you ever see the old movie from the 60s? It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
I know the name, but I haven't seen the movie.
It was kind of like the same idea where it was supposed to be about, they get all these different actors and actresses together, and they're on this like this cutthroat kind of like wacky chase kind of thing,
Kind of like Cannonball Run or something.
kind
like that?
of like that, yeah. And there was a lot of movies that came out during that time, and Scavenger Hunt was kind of one of those. And he just had a smaller part in it or whatever, but I remember him from that. But I think the first time I really remember being aware of him was, again, now this I know I saw on pay television. It was either on Spectrum or on TV. And this would have been around 81. I think I saw it, was Pumping Iron.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I saw Pumping Iron and everything. So because I'm older, like I remember pre-big Hollywood Arnold, like he was the bodybuilder guy. Like I knew him from that first. So I remember like what a big deal it was when he got in those big movies like Conan and Terminator and so on. And I saw him in that, and I mean I was still pretty young. I was like 8 when I saw Pumping Iron. So I didn't really get it. I was like, this is a sport. I don't understand. They're just big. Like, do they throw a ball? I don't understand. I get it now, but I didn't then and everything. But yeah, it was interesting. And that whole weird thing about him talking about coming, and it's like coming, and it's like I didn't even understand that when I was saying. I was like, coming, like, yeah, where are you coming? Where are you going? And then it was later I was like, ooh, okay, I get that now. But anyway, so that was my first exposure to him. But I didn't first really become like a big fan of his till mid 80s. When the ball really got rolling and everything. But my first exposure would have been Pumping Iron. Yeah. So interesting. Very different exposures to him, That's a pretty diverse selection there. But man, I mean, the man has got such a huge catalog now of films, and they're so all over the place. It even when we were trying to compile our top 5, it was really difficult, man. I'm still not entirely sure.
Yeah, there's movies I had to leave out that I can't fit in there because my honorable mentions would be like 8 movies, and we can't
Right.
list all those. So
Right. And real quick before we even move on to start getting into that, we want to say that we made a collective decision when we were talking about this, and we decided that for this episode, because we're just doing a general introduction to our love of Arnold, we are going to make Terminator, the whole series, one
item.
Terminator.
Yeah.
So it's not, because otherwise you could have a list where it's like, number 5 is Terminator 3, number 4 is Terminator Genesis, number 1 is T2, blah, blah. It would be all Terminators. So for this, we're just going to say Terminator, the Terminator series, and kind of rank it together. We're going to obviously...
I'm itching to get to that episode.
Yeah, we're going to obviously do a whole episode that's just about Terminator.
Could you imagine if we told Vito we weren't going to do that? He'd turn as red as that shirt.
Well, he'd be like, well, I'm done.
Yeah. He's like, fuck you guys. I'm out of here.
Yeah, basically.
Get out of my basement.
And there'd be no point because, Terminator, there's a wealth of stuff to talk about it, and it's a great series. And
God, there's so many extended universe novels of Terminator and the movies, and just God, dude.
And its impact on pop culture,
Yeah.
and influence other things and stuff like that. Just everything, even the soundtracks for those movies, fucking great.
Brad Fidel, dude.
You
were the man, Brad.
and,
You're not watching this, obviously, but you're the man.
there's a Guns N' Roses song that's forever connected with T2 and everything. It's like, one of the biggest bands of all time. Yeah. So anyway, there's plenty to talk about Terminator. So if people get uppity and are like, how could you not? We're going to talk, I'm sure, about Terminator in this, but we're condensing it. So, yeah. So it's kind of, some people might think it's cheating, but there's just no other way. There's no other way.
Deal with it. Sorry.
So, and so I think before we get into that, this is probably a good time that I think it would be an awesome time to get into Miss Megan's awesome installment that she does. It's one of my favorite things that we do here. I it's always entertaining. I think we should turn it over to you, and let's hear about your latest life lessons.
Hi everybody, Megan here with my top 5 life lessons we can all learn from my favorite action hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So take a seat, kick your feet up, and let's see what we can learn. Number 5, it's always good to have a good pun or one-liner on hand. If there's one thing that's been consistent throughout Arnold's career, is that he's never at a loss for a deliciously bad pun or a classic good one-liner. Not only is he heavily armed in most of his films, he's also always armed with some of the best one-liners in cinematic history. Whether he's showing off his foreign language skills, helping a friend blow off a little steam, or just trying to get everybody to chill, we can always count on old Arnie to give us that perfectly timed nugget that's going to make us both laugh and roll our eyes. Number 4, it's okay to hang with the kids sometimes. Hey, we know it's tough being an adult, especially when you have to deal with the big adult problems like Arnold does. Like being chased, being shot at, being tied to trees, being beaten and dragged and attacked over and over again. Anyway, you get the idea. The point is, now and then, it's okay to get in touch with your gentle side and hang out with the kitties. Whether you're hanging out with a boy that sent you from the future to save the world, or saving your daughter from violent mercenaries, or putting it all on the line to get your kid the perfect Christmas gift, or just trying to teach kids important lessons. Don't be afraid to just hang out with the kids now and then for a nice break. Okay, wait, that actually doesn't sound very calm and relaxing at all, so maybe it's just better just completely disregard this one. Number 3, never let them judge you by your looks. While it is often a bad habit of society to pass judgment on people based on how they look, Arnold shows us again and again that many times stereotypes just need to be broken. Whether he's showing his chops on screen portraying a passionate scientist, or a loving father and salesman, or a detective turned teacher who we're pretty sure does not have a tumor, or even his real life achievements as a successful businessman and politician. Arnold is a testament to the fact that somebody can be creative, smart, gentle, and driven while also being strong and brawny. Just like me. Don't fear my power. I won't hurt you. I promise. Number 2, you don't have to be a solo act. Even though Arnold has the strength and charisma to carry a movie on his own back, literally, he shows that it's often a good idea to team up with someone else and let them in on the action. Pairing up with your wisecracking partners, or your shifty long-lost brother, or even your timid wife turned action star. Even though you're good enough and entertaining enough to get the job done all on your own, sometimes it's even better when you share the spotlight and make a good team. Seriously, stop showing off and let somebody else get a crack at the action. Damn. Number 1, you are never too old to kick some ass. One of the most impressive things about Arnold is that even after decades of activity in his life and career, he still works hard and never goes away or whims out. He first became Mr. Universe in 1968, and even in his early 70s, he still shows he's smart, driven, and strong. Just when you think he's gonna be gone for good, he returns and shows the younger wannabes a thing or two. And kicking some butt along his legendary action hero buddies. Not to mention proving to John Connor that he is indeed a man of his word by returning as his iconic role as T-800. Through all the highs and lows through Arnold's career, he shows that age is only a number and he continues to be an unstoppable force. Kinda like me when I see a Taco Bell. Seriously folks, do not get in my way when I want a burrito. That is how people get hurt. And that wraps up our life lessons for today. I hope we all learned a little something so we can take it out there, kick ass, take some names, and I'll be back.
All right. It's
Some good life lessons, huh?
Yeah,
sure
it's
are.
always good to hear from you and your life lessons. People just need to start listening to you more often.
They really do.
Except when it comes to whether Die Hard's a holiday film, because it's not.
Well, the jury's still out on that one because I haven't seen it. So
Yeah. Vito's. I'm gonna pay Vito off. You are going down.
Boy, oh boy.
I will promise him no more pickle jokes.
it's a tall order, Larry. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't even launched into all the banana hijinks. Because for the people that don't know out there, Miss Megan over here, she's not a fan of bananas. She doesn't even like thinking about bananas.
They're so disgusting. They smell. Their texture is gross. Their weird shape.
Well, gee. What you got against the banana shapes, huh?
Too
Just
curvy
not
for
the
you?
banana.
Yeah, I will give you the bananas are a little weird texture, you know.
Yeah, I don't like eating bananas. The smell doesn't bother me that much. But yeah,
They're
eating them
slimy
just
and-
raw, yeah,
Ugh.
that's yeah.
I can do banana bread because it's enough
I
ingredients
love
to.
banana bread.
Yeah.
My breakfast every day consists of a slice of banana bread from 7-Eleven and a Monster Energy drink.
Wow.
That's one way to get you going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like bananas. I eat bananas pretty often. They're good. They're high in potassium and stuff. So
I'll
Man.
die. I'm okay. I don't eat it.
bananas were such a lifesaver, man. When we discovered like eating those after a really hot, long gig, you know.
Yeah, for you guys, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
me and Paul, when we did that show at the Bebop in Belgium, and that one, it was in July. It was so hot.
That club is hot like in the wintertime over there, and
Oh, wow.
July is like
It was
insane.
ludicrous. It was so hot, and we got off stage, and Paul and I, we played a long show,
That's not the one where it was like dripping from the ceiling, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah, it
sounded
was-
so gross.
Yeah, like it was going to start raining inside the club.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
Yeah, it was totally disgusting. And that one, after the show, Paul and I, our legs just seized up.
Mm.
I mean, they were hurting bad. So somebody reminded us, said eat bananas. So luckily they had a bunch of fruit there because Europeans are actually somewhat healthy. And we downed a couple of bananas. No jokes, folks. We consumed a couple of actual banana fruit. Oh, that sounds bad too. But
yeah, you just
anyway, we ate fucking bananas and it helped. Like it within like 5-10 minutes, we actually were like, oh yeah, okay. So
wow.
from now on, we always put it on the rider. Like we have to have bananas and Jamesons. That ain't much worse than your banana bread and Monster Energy.
Yeah, that's
drink,
true.
that's true.
You know, so yeah. I mean, we could sit here all day waxing or geeking poetic, as it were, about Arnold and his, illustrious career and past. But I mean, do we want to just like cut to the chase and get into, I'm sure we're gonna have plenty to talk about. So do we want to just start talking about our
Get into the lists here.
getting in the list?
Get up in it.
I keep getting caught in my headphones. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, that's cool. Let's do the list. So, you ready? Are you all set?
I think we're set.
All right. Well, then I'm going to, since again,
Start it off.
yeah, I'm going to have you start off because this is your boy more than
Okay.
anything. So we're going to do, so folks know, if you haven't seen the last episode and everything, the way we do it is we're going to each just go around and name our top 5, starting with the lowest with 5, and then working our way to our number one. And we're just going to go around and list them all, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, so on and so forth. And then because we already know there's going to be crossover, and then we're just going to discuss each movie, so that we're not ping-ponging back and forth and wasting even more time, because this podcast goes on forever.
It keeps getting longer
I
and
know.
longer
and longer. So we'll see. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of crossover in this one, though. So it may
I
not.
think so,
it might
yeah.
not go. We'll see. You never know. Let's be optimistic here.
4-hour podcast. Here we
Yeah.
come.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So finally, we've been talking about this one for some time now, and I'm eager to get into the meat and potatoes of it. The top 5 favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of the Geeking Poetic podcast crew. So starting at number 5, we have Vito.
For me, it is a movie called Predator.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's number 5.
I know. It was higher, and then I rewatched the movie the other night. I was like, ooh, fuck, man.
You need to get your ass to
I
the
know,
chopper.
I know.
Wow. I mean, well, and that just right there. So if anybody knows, like Vito fucking, although are you more of a Predator 2 fan? Right? You're a Predator 2 fan.
Yeah,
See,
I love the shit out of Predator 2.
when people sit there and are like, why do all these movies make these fucking stupid sequels all the time? You know why they do it?
That
Because
guy
people
right
like
there.
Vito Marchese exist in the world, because he is.
I'm their demographic, folks.
Yeah. If Vito was, like how the Fantastic Four went up and got belted with the radiation, and that's how they got their powers, and it was like, the Thing, Ben Grimm became the Thing and all this, and Johnny Storm was a hothead, so he became the Torch. You would be sequel man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love sequels, guys. If you haven't figured it out by now, but you will as the podcast grows, you'll see I'm always the sequel guy. I usually watch the sequels more than the original for some reason.
Yes, you do. I'm that way with a few franchises, that I like the sequels more than the original. But you are sequel man. You know about movies that most other people are like, holy shit, I didn't even know that ever was made. And you're like, it was in 1996, it was direct to video, blah, blah, blah. The biggest star they had was Brad Dourif, and like those kind of, and Gary Busey.
Yeah.
But no, that just goes to show, that is a testament to Arnold, how difficult this was, and how much good shit there was to choose from, that Vito actually made Predator number 5. And yeah, we'll have more of that. So Meg, what's your number 5?
My 5 is Terminator.
Oh.
Series, the Terminator
Yes.
series. Yeah. Interesting. And why 5?
Why not?
Because
I
it's
wanted
Terminator.
it 5.
That should be number 1, Megan.
I'm not big in those kind of movies, but it's such an iconic role for him. I couldn't not include it in my list at some point.
Gotcha.
So
Right.
it made 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Other movies, I for personal reasons, I enjoy much better.
Gotcha.
But I had to make the list at least.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
Well, you ready for this? My number 5 is also Terminator series.
What?
Really?
Yep. I know, man. I struggled with I know, and I'm still struggling with this. Even looking right now at my screen and looking at, and I'm going, yeah, well, this could trade places with number 3. You know what I mean? But it's just one of those things. Next week, I might listen to this again. Like, go back and watch this for some godforsaken reason. I don't know why I would want to watch this again, but I might go watch this again or do a recap of it and go, oh, dude, I should have told
idiot.
Yeah, you are an idiot. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, obviously it has to be in there in the top 5 because it is so iconic. And I love the first 2 Terminator movies. But ultimately why I decided to make it 5 is because in comparison to the other ones that I also love, the other 4 in my list, I've watched many, many, many times. Now, I've seen Terminator 1 many times, seen Terminator 2 a bazillion times and everything. But the rest of the Terminator ones, like he was in 3
And 5.
and 5 and all that, I haven't really seen them.
Yeah.
So again, once we get to the Terminator episode, that's a total game changer. And I fully intend to watch all of it. I want to watch all of that shit before we do the Terminator episode so that I can have a more informed opinion. But just because I only know half of the series of it, I had to bump it down, man. This and my number 3, I kept going back and forth, because I wouldn't necessarily say, my number 3 movie is a better movie than Terminator 1 or 2, but I'll explain it when we get there.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got, our number 5s are surprising all the way around.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising. So we've got Predator. And the Terminator series is number 5. It only makes it into number 5. Isn't that interesting? Come on, folks, you know that shit's interesting. They're going. What the fuck did these clowns?
We're dropping bombs all over this podcast.
If one of them said "Jingle All the Way" is number 1, I'm never listening to this podcast ever again.
Well, we'll see. We're
see.
just at number 5.
With this fucking group of ass clowns, you never know, folks. All right, man. Number 4, Vito.
True Lies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ping ping. Yeah.
Not
So
bad.
this one kind of bumped Predator down to 5, which I didn't think it would, but I rewatched it the other night. I was like, "Fuck, dude."
I get
This movie
it.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
I totally understand. Meg, what about you?
My number 4 is Total Recall.
Oh, okay. Well, I tend to think you already. I won't ask you to expound on that because you already talked a little bit about Total Recall earlier and stuff. But I'm really starting to think you're a fucking copycat because my number 4
Shut up,
is Total Recall.
son of a bitch.
Well, she's just copying off me. That's all. And I mean,
Except I made my list first. Now who's
you
the
don't know
copycat?
that. I made this list years ago. No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I've been.
Larry went back in time.
I
Time
literally-
displacement unit.
I literally typed this out like 5 minutes before we turned the cameras on. Because I've been going back and forth with the only thing that I knew pretty much for sure was my number 1 and 2. 3, 4, and 5. I've been like bandying about, for a while now. So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, Recall again. It's Total Recall. Anybody that's seen our teaser knows we're We're fond of Total Recall, man. It's. I mean, what can you say? We'll get into that, but it obviously has to be in there. Why is it not higher? I guess you'll wait and see.
Yeah.
So okay, so we've got number 4 is Vito's is True Lies, and then mine and Megan's is Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Interesting. Okay, so number 3, Mr. Vito.
Commando.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you see that one when it came out, or was that a much?
No,
yeah, it would have been. That was 85. You were too young.
Yeah. So this was another late night TV, probably Channel 9. I'm sure.
Right.
You know, and another one I was probably too young to watch it.
Yeah. Well, maybe at least if you saw it on regular TV, it wasn't quite as bad. You know?
Yeah. We'll get into it because there is some changes. That
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. Okay, Meg, I'm curious. What's your number 3?
True Lies.
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
My number 3 is True Lies.
Wow.
What a copycat.
Man, dude, come on now. You know, I'll tell you, for somebody, didn't she? Okay, first of all, so wait, your number 5 was Terminator. Your number 4 was Total Recall, and your number 3 is True Lies. Didn't she just say a minute ago that she's not really all about those kind of movies?
Okay, I obviously bold-faced lied. Clearly.
She's just trying to throw us off, man. She's fucking with us.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, True Lies, that was my number 3. So that and Terminator, I kept flip-flopping. You know, I kept thinking like, well, you know, technically Terminator should be higher than True Lies for me because I think True Lies is great. Obviously, it's my number 3, but Terminator 2, you know, if we were just breaking it down like that, if we were doing the individual Terminator movies, it'd be different. But as it stands, number 3 for me is True Lies. That was kind of a last minute flip flop. Yeah. So okay. So number 3. So yours was
Commando,
and then ours was True Lies. All right. This is getting interesting. Now we're getting into the top, you know, the
echelon here.
Yeah, the real big ones. There's a lot of movies. We're it's funny that we're kind of all mentioning the same movies, and there's a lot of other movies that I would have thought would have got mentioned by somebody. So, number 2,
Total Recall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I should have known that because I know you're such a huge fan of that. Yeah. Meg?
Killing Gunther.
All right. Cool. So that's the first like real swerve ball.
Yeah.
Thrown out
you
there.
know, I like to throw those curveballs at you.
That's a brand new movie.
That is 2017.
I think that literally came out like a year ago.
Yeah,
It was like last fall.
It was fucking hilarious.
It was. That one caught me out by surprise.
I know of it. I have not seen it. So
I think you would like it.
Yeah.
From what from what
we'll
I've
get
heard.
more into it.
Yeah.
Because
Obviously.
it very much reminded me of us.
Yeah.
It's like, if we were going to do a movie, this would be it. This is the kind of bullshit we're going to do.
Okay, that definitely piques my interest.
So that's why it made number 2.
Yeah.
If it's like something us assholes would do, then wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. All right. So we're on 2, right? Yeah.
Yes.
My number 2 is 1985's Commando.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. I mean, again, and if it wasn't for what number 1 is to me, Commando could actually technically be number 1. It could have made it. Now, when we talk about it, I'll explain why. But all right, cool. So we got Recall, Killing Gunther, and Commando. Yeah, I think that's interesting. That's a solid
nice little
number
mix
2.
right there.
Yeah, it is.
But now here we are. We're at number 1. Numero uno. So I don't think it's, I mean, I'm trying to make it like build up the suspense, but anybody that's watching is going to be like, well, we fucking know what Vito is going to say.
It's Terminator.
No way.
It's got to be. I mean, no, we don't have a bunch of Terminator shit
don't
around
at all,
here.
man.
Oh yeah, that Terminator's still up behind your head up
there
there
he
and
is.
everything. Yeah.
We have the ET 800.
Oh,
I'll have to show this off later because this guy from
Yeah.
Junk Fed, I got that for my birthday. So
Yeah,
we'll have
you-
to talk about that later. but-
Yeah, you'll have to pull that. And who's up there? Is that John?
No, that's the Terminator from the first one. He's in
Right.
like his the
Yeah,
biker guy
right. That's
clothes
right.
or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to pull that down.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, no shock to anybody that knows. Vito's is the Terminator series. But Megan, I gotta know what your number one is.
I'm gonna throw you another curveball. I think.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with Kindergarten Cop.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. I went there.
But see, that's what I was expecting you to go there
Yeah.
with, because I figured your list was going to be.
I thought it was gonna be that or Twins, one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Didn't get a chance to rewatch Twins, and that's the only reason it didn't make the list.
That movie's really good too.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
That would be like my honorable mention
All right.
from
Right.
what I remember of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get into the honorable mentions later and stuff.
Well, I
But-
said mine now, so
Well,
Get over it.
well, thanks for fucking it all up, man. Jeez, we try to have a system here.
I'm a rebel. Get over it.
Yeah. All the rebels. Okay, well then my number one is 1982's, all right, 81, 82, somewhere around there. Conan the Barbarian. Because that is the first real movie, not counting, Scavenger Hunt and Pumping Iron, and the first real Schwarzenegger movie that I ever saw. It's the one out of all of them, including T2. It's the one I've seen the most times. I can quote. I'm one of those assholes. It's like I can quote the whole movie. I can quote the whole Conan movie. It's one of those ones that I think it's funny, even if it's not necessarily meant to be funny. Although I think it is. I think there is humor in that movie, and it's just I love the way it's kind of done, because it's not goofy. It's I don't know. Yeah, for me, that's just I think of in the same way that, because I know there have been other Conan movies and Conan TV series and all this kind of stuff, in the same way that I think of Christopher Reeve as Superman. There've been other Supermen who did great jobs, but Christopher Reeve is Superman. Like I think of Superman, I just picture him. I think of Conan, I pictured Arnold, like that's Conan, man. Like he just embodied it. Even when I look at even when I read the Conan comics, or I look at my Conan Mego figure from the 70s and stuff, I picture his voice in my fucking head. You know what I mean? Like that's why that had to be number one, even more than Commando.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Conan, Commando would be number one. So, all right. So yeah, Terminator, Kindergarten Cop, and Conan. You don't get much more varied than that. That right there kind of almost sums it up. You know what I mean? Like more like action sci-fi kind of thing, and then me with like the sword and sorcery fantasy, gritty earthy movie, and then total
romantic
silliness.
comedy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Romantic comedy,
Good old
silliness,
rom-com.
Yeah. So there you go. Sums it. Our number ones just kind of show the breadth of his work and everything.
And it shows that he can perform in all those genres. He
Mhm.
might not be the world's greatest actor, but he can fucking
He's
nail what he
versatile.
needs to do in all those roles.
I think he does a good job. I think he's a good actor. I think he's a very good actor. He's Arnold, but I think he can play all the different emotions, and I think because he's such a character himself, in real life, with the way he looks and his voice and just everything, he's always going to be Arnold. You know what I mean? There's only so much he can do. But that being said, given what he's got, I think he's a real good actor, man. He's not Sidney Poitier or something, or Olivier or something, but he's a damn good actor. So, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So cool. Yeah, all right. I think then we can go around and we can start talking about the
details,
the meat, the real, get into the thick of things, talk about it and debate it a little bit. Before that, I think it's time that you put on your Sunday best, you put on your little cap and your loafers, and let's wander down the block, get on down the block, go down to Vito's place. It's time to pop a cork on a nice bottle of vino. And let's get just a quick little tidbit, a little snippet of goodness from Vito. And we just need one of your tips, man. It's time for Vito's tips.
Hey, yo. So, you're looking for a tip, huh? Well, I got a tip for you. If a guy makes you an offer you can't refuse, like say, he's gonna clone your wife for you, you may be thinking, I already got a wife. She's enough of a headache. What do I want two of them for? But listen, there's dollar value in this. Okay, hear me out. You buy your wife an outfit. What does she wear once? She throws it away. She don't wear it no more. This other one, she can wear it. That's two for the price of one. Think of all the cleaning this other one can do too. All the extra pasta she makes. It's a good investment. So, don't be a bad guy. Be a wise guy.
All right, my paisan. That was quite informative. Hopefully people take it to heart.
Hope so.
Listen to what he's got to fucking say.
We get good advice on this show.
That's what we're here for, There's like Dr. Phil and douchebags like that, and then there's Geeking Poetic. I mean, what else do you need?
Right?
Somebody had to fill the void when Miss Cleo died. Gotta give you some good advice, right?
Precisely. All right. Yeah, so let's just start, not in a specific order, but let's just start going through and talking about all these movies. Let's start with a real good one. Let's talk about Predator.
Predator, 1987's Predator.
Yeah.
All-star cast in this one.
Yeah.
Two guys that went on to be governors.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
What the hell was it? Was it you think it was the Predator threat that made them realize like we gotta take control here,
Right, like Reagan with his outer space speech about, to unify the planet we need like an outside force,
Yeah. It's a great cast. You got Arnold, of course, the other Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body.
The body at this time,
Ventura.
Not the mind yet.
No,
he
wasn't the mind yet. He was Jesse the Body Ventura. And then, of course, Apollo Creed.
Fucking Carl Weathers,
Weathers, yeah, he's great in this.
Dylan.
I'm trying to remember what I'm looking
at.
Bill Duke, yep. Sonny Landham,
yeah, that guy's a trip. So apparently the studio had to hire bodyguards for Sonny, not for the other people, but not for them to hurt Sonny, but for Sonny to
not to hurt them.
Yeah, because he would get drunk on set and do a lot of weird shit. Kind of fucking weird dude, but he actually just recently died.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had like a lot of health problems. I think he lost a leg to diabetes and he had some other shit.
So is it true that the initial maybe not idea, but kind of like the riff, they had for making Predator was that it was supposed to be kind of like a joke on there was like nobody left on Earth that Rocky Balboa couldn't beat. So they were like, the next thing you'd have to do would be to like beat some kind of like crazy strong evil alien thing. And
I heard that.
And that's sort of like where they ran with it, there. And then it's funny that like Rocky didn't end up in it, but they got Apollo.
And another guy we had talked about earlier today, Jean-Claude Van Damme, was the original Predator.
Oh, that's
like
right.
For real.
But he was too small.
Yeah, they have test footage of him in a suit, like
I've
this
never seen
red
that.
lobster-looking weird suit. Because they redesigned the alien too.
Yeah,
and he went out. He was there for like 2 days, and they shot some stuff. But I guess he was really difficult to work with because he's like, "Look, I want to be a star. I don't want to be hidden behind a mask where you can't see my face."
Oh.
They were in like
fair enough.
I think they were shooting down in Mexico, and I mean the heat. He had to be in that suit. It was just miserable. He's like, "I don't want to do this." So they got rid of him. They ended up redesigning the creature, and
Well, I think it was the right choice all the way around.
Yeah.
For him and for Predator.
Especially when he's got to team up with Arnold at the end. Obviously, Arnold is just going to dwarf Van Damme. Even though Van Damme's, he's a muscular, fit dude, but he's no Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
So Kevin Peter Hall is like 7 foot whatever.
Right.
So you just dwarf Schwarzenegger if you can even fucking believe that,
And then they had a guy named Peter Cullen that did the voice.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's just funny, like it's just funny how even when you don't realize that all that stuff was so tied together, like the 6 degrees of separation there, the idea that you wouldn't automatically think of tying together Rocky, Commando, and then like Predator, but then there's like this common thread between all of that. All they needed was like Dolph Lundgren in there. But it's just like poor Apollo, man. He came out there dancing around like a fucking jagoff in Rocky 4, like making a showboating and shit. Like, I'm a badass, he said. And then fucking stony face, fucking Lundgren.
Ivan Drago.
Yeah, Ivan Drago.
Siberian Express.
Exactly. He just fucking murdered him, literally. Just
Don't a damn towel.
Don't a damn towel. Yeah, he just knocked his ass out for good, and to go from that, and then what happens to him in spoiler alert, what happens to him towards the end of Predator and everything. That's a pretty grim scene.
Yeah, man. When I was a kid, I didn't realize what happened during that scene, probably because it was on TV. But Carl Weathers turns around to go shoot the Predator, and he's got both guns. He literally gets his arm blown off by the plasma caster from the Predator. And when I was a kid, I was like, I don't understand. There's a gun on the ground, but it's still shooting, and and I didn't see because they cut off where his arm got blown off on TV.
And well, that's kind of we mentioned earlier that was like a problem because you'd try to watch some of these movies. For a lot of us folks that grew up in the 70s or even the 80s, like we didn't have cable right away. We didn't so. You would see these if you didn't see them in the theater or you didn't rent them on video, which sometimes you couldn't rent them on video if you were too young. You'd wait until it was shown on, like you said, Channel 9 or ABC, Sunday Night Movie, and inevitably these kind of movies were going to get edited, and that could get confusing sometimes because, especially that, you'd just be like, I don't. And when you're young and you can't put 2 and 2 together as much as if you were, older, you'd watch and go, I don't understand. Yeah, that happened to me a lot with movies like this when I would watch things earlier. So yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so we talked a little bit about it, but I mean, so Predator made your list as your number 5 and everything. So I mean, you obviously connected with that. Why do you love this movie so much?
The idea that there's this creature that comes to Earth to hunt people not for food, just for trophy hunting is phenomenal.
Like it's sport.
It's just a fantastic idea. And what's cool is because I saw this on TV, I probably didn't see the first 30 seconds of the movie where they literally give it away. They show a ship ejecting a pod to Earth. So right away you're like, oh, wait a minute. It's an alien or something like that. But if you didn't see those first 30 seconds and you had a cold open where they're flying in the helicopters, all these fucking dudes in the jungle, you're like, ooh, what kind of like team is taking these guys out? You don't realize it's just one fucking creature that's an alien. And he has all this high tech weaponry.
That makes sense.
It's kind of a mystery leading up to that whole halfway to through the movie or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I wonder why they chose to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been a better movie without that.
Right.
The suspense and mystery would have been drawn out longer.
Now, not to already get off this movie or whatever, but now you, as we mentioned earlier, are an even bigger fan of the sequel.
Yes.
Why?
Because you see so much more of the Predator, you get more tech from the Predator, and it's way over the top action based.
Well, go ahead.
Predator is still an action film, but there's a lot of parts where it's not an action film. There's a lot of quiet parts, no dialogue, which is great. I love that too, but I don't know. I just love that you see so much more of the Predator because I think that character and design is just incredible.
Yeah, it is a great great character design. I mean, so iconic, you know. Toys and statues and posters and T-shirts and everything, and tons of people have ripped it off too, you know, for movies and comics and stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not that fluent in Predator, you know, lore, but isn't a lot of like the weapons and tech and stuff from Predator 2 that everybody associates, you know, even casual fans associate with Predator, and you see in a lot of the artwork and in the toys and everything, isn't it actually more from Predator 2 than the first Predator?
Yes. So Predator 1, he really just had, well, the iconic is the shoulder cannon, the plasma caster.
Right.
He does have the arm gauntlets.
Okay.
He's got the keypad bomb thing. He's got the first aid kit. But the things like the spear.
Right.
The telescoping spear is not in Predator 1 at all, I don't believe.
No, I think it's only
the blade
in 2.
disc, the frisbee is fucking awesome. That is not in the first one.
Right.
And then Predator has like a net gun that he shoots out that the net goes on and kind of literally digs through your flesh. That's not in the first one. And the Predator somehow gets powered up by getting blasted by lightning. I don't know.
Like Jason?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a scene in Predator 2 where he's on this like building, he's got his staff up and he gets struck by lightning.
Right.
And he lets out this growl like he just got like a power up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about.
But it's just interesting that, you know, I think most people would say, and they do say that Predator 1 is like, you know, the classic and everything, but I see so much of like Predator fandom that a lot of the stuff about Predator, his look and his weapons and different things he did are so popular that are actually from the so-called less popular sequel.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how that worked, you know? So maybe the second movie itself wasn't that big, but people still love Predator of it.
And I think they had some of the designs for the toys and gadgets from the second one for the first one, but either they ran out of money or they didn't have time to finish all that. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, well, it didn't, I mean, I guess for the time, for the late, looking at this real quick, for the late 80s, it was a pretty reasonable budget, but I mean, they only spent about 15 or 16 million dollars on it. So that's not like a crazy big budget for a movie that's like, you know, a lot of technical, you know, special effects and stuff like that. So, but cool. Meg, you're kind of quiet over there. You got anything to say? Anything to say about Predator?
No, I'm just taking notes.
Okay.
I'm just listening to you guys, letting you do your thing. Predator's your thing, so.
She's like, yeah, whatever. Predator spears and, you know, dreadlocks and whatever. Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
I've seen it. I've seen it several times.
Yeah.
But you guys covered everything, so.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Just
a lot of
wondered
stuff I didn't know about, so now I know.
And that's one to grow on.
Right?
All right, cool, man. Yeah, Predator. I think we've got that covered. So let's move on. And I mean, I'm eager to talk about this one because, you know, because of what it is and everything. And it's one that all three of us have picked. And let's talk about Total Recall.
Good old Total Recall, Mr. Paul Verhoeven.
Yep.
One of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He takes the idea of violence to this gratuitous level that's just borderline like X-rated.
Yeah.
Even at some points it is X-rated and they have to tame it down, but he does it in a way to make it satirical and to show how ridiculous it can be. And, you know,
right.
I know you're not into that style.
No, I'm not. I'm super. I'm not into it, but I'm not completely opposed to it. I'm just super duper picky about it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like gratuitous gore and violence and things like that. But then I think Evil Dead 2 is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And talk about fucking, that's all it is. You know, it's just ludicrous, over the top. But I think because they make it so over the top like that I cannot take it seriously anyway. You know, it's the ones that I don't like, shit like Saw and all those things where I'm like, people are like, oh, it's so badass. I'm like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of sad. You know, like I don't like serial killers and shit like that. I'm not enthralled and infatuated with them. They do nothing for me. They're just awful. But stuff like this, like Recall and some, and some stuff that gets kind of grotesque and super violent and everything. There's just something about this. It's a very fine line. It's a fine art.
Yeah.
To do it this way. And I love this movie. It's great. It's so stupid. And I don't mean that like, people be like, hey, but no, I'm like, no, like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid. This isn't like, like we talked a little bit about this in regards to Mars and everything when we did the Mars stuff. I mean, this isn't like, you can't talk about this and take it in the same context as like, Interstellar or The Martian or something like that. It's just such a silly, stupid
and it's
movie.
A different time period too.
Yeah.
Like if Total Recall came out today, like it wouldn't be what it is. It'd be the 2009 Total Recall, which wasn't that great,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
can you imagine
yeah,
how ridiculous it would have been? Because one of the drafts of this, because it went through like 43 drafts, right? Which just seems like a ton, but I don't know. But one of them envisioned like Indiana Jones on Mars. And that's how they wanted this to go.
Well, wouldn't
That's
that
funny.
basically be John Carter on Mars?
Yeah,
or
well,
something?
'cause-
Or Robinson Crusoe on Mars?
Because the short story it was based off of, the main character wasn't obviously an Arnold bodybuilder. He was just some nerdy fucking accountant dude.
Right. He was an accountant. Yeah. Right.
And he's looking for an escapism or whatever. But
Right.
they had to switch it because Arnold was attached to it.
But I think that made it so much better.
Yeah.
And it added to the ludicrosity of the whole thing,
Yeah.
Real quick, I just looking at my note, one thing that I noted. Another thing that's awesome. Obviously, this is based on a Philip K. Dick story.
We can remember it for you for wholesale. I believe.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can remember you for wholesale. And but I mean, this was written by several different guys. But one of the guys that contributed to this was a guy named who, if you're really into like sci-fi, different stuff, that the name is Dan O'Bannon.
Mm-hmm.
Dan O'Bannon was one of the guys that acted in and created one of my all-time favorite movies that I've watched. Oh my God. I don't know how, probably 200 times, 300 times. A little movie from 1974 called Dark Star.
Fuck yeah.
Dude.
Dude, I remember Larry when I first met you, like we had talked about movies and
Oh,
Dark
yeah,
Star
yeah, I
came up.
remember
Was like,
that.
You've seen Dark Star, dude?
Not a lot of people have. Even now, a lot of people not, because it I won't go off on too much of a tangent, but I got to talk about Dark Star. I just got to do it. Dark Star is a movie. It was like John Carpenter.
That was like his college film.
Yeah, it was
right?
basically like a college film. It was to Carpenter what THX 1138 was to George Lucas.
Yeah, okay.
It was that college film / moving into an actual theatrical film kind of thing. But about these space explorers, whatever, that are out on this 20 plus year mission to go out into deep space, and they have to find useless planets and blow them up. They're almost kind of like space janitors. Getting back to the space janitor thing. It's like, oh, there's all these useless planets out there that are just devoid of life. They're no good. They're clogging up space and getting in the way. You gotta blow them up. And these guys have been living out there. They just have themselves on this ship, and they've been living there for so long, and they're just miserable. They hate each other.
Oh no.
They can't stand. Well, just imagine you're on a ship with, it originally starts, there's 5 of them. And then the captain
dies, and
they keep him in cryo sleep.
That's right.
And then the one guy is a little weird. He's a cool character though, and he stays up in like the observation
whatever.
dome bubble thing. He never comes down to hang out with the rest of them. He just kind of isolates himself, and he's real, spacey out there.
I want to watch this movie tonight. Dude.
I know, dude. And the other 3 basically live with each other, and they're there, and of course it's made in the early 70s. So they're total hippies.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
really?
they have fros and beards and long hair and everything. They're hippie astronaut guys, and they act like it. And it's great. Like, well, the one was supposed to be, he used to be a surfer.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, his whole thing was he was into surfing, but the other guys are just basically hippies and they're smoking pot. And it looks like what you would imagine. Like, they have ruined this ship. It's like what you would imagine all these bachelor males, their ship would look like. It's sloppy and it's a mess and they don't eat right and they're just smoking and they stink and they fight with each other and they're, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie. It's got kind of a sad ending, poignant ending to it.
But the ending's pretty brilliant, though.
The ending it's one of the best movies ever made. It's one of, in my opinion, it is one of the best movies ever made. They do so much with so little.
The bomb when they're trying to talk to him, you have to explode or whatever.
The bomb? Okay, so here's the thing. Perfect. What a perfect fucking segue. Okay? Anybody who has seen, and you should watch it because I personally think it's really funny, the teaser that we did for Total Recall for this episode, anybody who's seen it, you'll note that I'm the one that did the voice of Johnny Cab in it. I overdubbed the voice of Johnny Cab. And I was thinking of and rather than imitating Robert Picardo, and the way he did it, because he did it more straight, kind of like 50s cab driver style. I did this, as you know, I did this more exaggerated, goofy, cartoonish version of a voice for that cab driver, and the way he was so confrontational and everything. It was partly, in big part, inspired by bomb number fucking 20. From Dark Star. That's totally what I was thinking. It's like when he's always like, I know what my programming is. And that voice is like, yeah, it's like, no, I have been activated to explode, and that's what I'm going to do, kind of thing. He's like, and they're trying to talk this bomb because this bomb malfunctions and it won't drop.
Oh no.
But it wants to blow up.
Oh no.
But the bombs they're like sentient. You know what I mean? Like they can think, so you can talk to the bomb. And they're like trying to ration. At one point, they start talking like about Nietzsche and different like stuff like that. Or just like they start getting into deep philosophy with the bomb to try to make the bomb
calm down,
like realize and just confuse it long enough to get it to so they can try to like subvert the issue. And again, I hate to give it away in case people are going to watch it, but let's just say it doesn't work because the bomb becomes even more self-aware. And and it's not good. It's more things to support Joe Rogan and Elon Musk's fear of AI. Dude. Speaking of that, did anybody watch the Elon Musk episode of Joe Rogan? Because if you didn't, you need to watch that, good. Man. And who cares about who smoked pot? Who fucking cares? Elon Musk is a fucking robot, man. I think he's like a cross between a robot and a super Skrull from the Marvel universe, like a fucking shapeshifter. That dude trips me out. I'm fascinated by him.
I just don't think he likes to do interviews. That's all.
He's people like that, like Einstein and different. They're not normal. They're just not normal. Sorry. But anyway,
But before we leave Dark Star, 3 words for you, buddy. Beach ball alien.
That fucking alien, dude. He's got these claws. Oh my god,
when
dude!
He gets on his head too.
Okay, we're making another note. So in addition to Die Hard, we have to at some point we gotta do a thing about Dark Star. Maybe that'll be one where like another one where like we've seen it, but you haven't
never seen it.
Oh man,
I've never even heard of it.
Good.
Like, not a lot of people have. It's pretty obscure. It's
Okay.
hard.
I learned of it because of the library, because the library had the VHS tape.
Right.
I would always rent movies from the library, and they had it.
If you're like a film student, you would know because you know what I mean. It's one of those. I guess it's kind of considered artsy in a way because it's really underground. And
Okay.
But Dan O'Bannon, who wrote
Alien 2,
and was involved in Alien and John Carpenter and stuff. They got started on this, so that kind of. And the thing is again, it makes sense. Getting back to Total Recall, it makes sense if you the writing of the how crazy a lot of things are in Dark Star, albeit more smaller, on a small scale. But you go to that and then you look at Total Recall and you go, okay, yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
You know, because if you take aspects of Total Recall and you take aspects of Alien and you mush them and strip them way down and make it, you know, you've got Dark Star.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry. Getting back to Total Recall, I mean, we talked about it in the other episode and stuff, so I know there's probably not a whole lot more we can really say.
I do want to ask you two a question, though.
Yes.
Do you think he was in a dream?
Well, that's the big debate. No.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
I'm leaning towards yes a little bit.
Okay. So
Yeah.
all of it was...
Yeah. Because the ending, the music cue,
Yeah.
and there's like a vignette, like the white cloudy vignette around the border.
Right.
That's a very dreamlike look to it.
Right.
And he had knowledge of Melina. He knew
Okay.
what Melina looked like even before he went to Recall. And,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, what have they said? I'm curious to know. What has been their
I think the producers just said it's up to you to decide. I don't think they gave a definitive answer, yes or no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can take it literally either way, and either way would make sense. But I kind of lean towards the fact that he was in the dream that whole time.
That's kind of what makes it great, is because you don't know.
Right, yeah.
You're left questioning.
Yeah, some movies nail that, some movies don't.
Yeah.
What was it? Inception? Is that the one?
What?
The movie with DiCaprio and stuff. That's
Oh.
another one that
I have
very
not
much.
seen that.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard it's one of the
Okay.
greatest movies.
All right,
ever,
right.
but-
Okay, I'm not going to say anything
Okay,
more.
all right.
Stop right there. Now
Yes,
you.
I don't think
love-
you've seen it either.
No,
have you?
I don't think I've seen it.
We'll have to watch that
Yes.
one.
Yeah,
Oh, see, we're finding out all sorts of good ones.
You love sequels, and it's not technically a sequel, but it's kind of a sequel. Did you like Minority Report?
I have not seen Minority Report.
Me neither.
Me neither.
I've seen I've seen clips, bits and pieces.
Same here.
I know what the story is.
Yeah.
And it's a Philip K. Dick story that got thrown into a movie, like
Mhm.
most of these are.
Right.
But
Yep.
yeah. So Minority Report. Yeah. It looked awesome, and I had an intention to go see it. I just never got
haven't
around
made
to it, you know?
yet.
Yeah.
I'll have to add that to our list.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
like Tom Cruise in sci-fi movies.
Me
so-
too.
Me
Yeah.
too.
All right,
Obviously
cool.
from our last one.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a Tom Cruise episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually,
I'd be down
'cause
for that.
Another one like this one where it spawns so many. That's going to be a really hard one for me because I'm a big fan. I don't care. People bag on him, and I know he's a little crazy, but I really like Tom Cruise movies, man. Oh man, that's going to be tough. I know what my number one has to be, and it's another one that has to do with dreaming and some sci-fi twist and everything. Ooh, yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Man,
Back-
the
back to
list
where
is
we're at.
the list is getting long. But anyway, all right.
I
I
need to
mean,
start writing these down.
Total Recall, you know, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before. We're going to talk about it again. I know we're going to do more about Recall because it's just one of those. Maybe we'll do a thing like we did with Independence Day. You know, I'd love to do like a more full in-depth recap of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
it just sucks with these lists. It's like we can spend an entire episode on each of these movies.
Yeah, I
like
know.
for 3 hours.
I know.
It's just
I
so
know.
it's hard. I
Yeah.
know you. I don't know if you guys are like, yeah, but you can't touch on this. But yeah, there's just so much to talk about. You know.
Hey man, we don't have an end game for this. I mean, we're going to keep going. So there's nothing that says we can't do part 2. There's nothing that says we can't, you know, like I said, get to all these movies individually. I mean, we're going to need content,
Yeah.
you know? So just for now, like I said earlier, this is an introduction. This is just kind of our touching on the general subject of Arnold. So anyway, cool. All right. That's good.
Hey, Vito here. Thanks for checking out the newest episode of the Geeking Poetic podcast.
If you like what you see, make sure you click one of the links below and give us a follow.
Make sure you leave a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe.
And make sure to check back soon for more content.
Now, back to the show.
Bye.
So then moving on now to the next movie, we're going to talk about, when did this come out?
94.
94. We're going to move on to one that I think we all picked this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. True Lies.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of a different one, like in a way, you know.
Not quite as serious.
No.
Yeah. Definitely over the top, especially the ending.
Yeah.
That ending's way over the top. But this might be his first spy thriller comedy movie. I don't
Yeah.
think he did like a
No.
spy thriller
No.
before this.
No, I don't think so.
This intro is so James Bond. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love me some James Bond, and
Oh yeah.
it's just great.
Yeah.
And of course, Tia Carrera
Right.
in that
right.
dress.
Tia
Oh boy.
Carrera fan, huh?
Oh yeah. I've been infatuated with her since Wayne's World. When I saw Wayne's World, I was like, oh yeah.
So weird. That is the second time today that Tia Carrera, specifically Tia Carrera in Wayne's World, has been brought up to me.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to Rick, my buddy Rick. I was talking to him, and some came up about Wayne's World and Tia Carrera. What? It's so
What
weird.
are the odds?
It happens to me a lot. I don't know why. Just odd, but yeah, another movie with a great cast. You know, because obviously Arnold, Jamie Lee,
Tom Arnold.
Tom, yeah.
So
the tale of two Arnolds.
Yeah. Tom Arnold is so great in this fucking movie, man. I love his little quips and his lines, and his delivery on all of them is really good.
Well, it was funny. I was looking for Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and stuff at the store, and I was thinking Tom Arnold in my brain. I was like, I don't know. Is he really that good of an actor or something? Then I watched True Lies again. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I think he was one of those that, because of all the goofy stuff that went on later with Roseanne and stuff, that he kind of got
bad rap.
Bad rap, yeah.
Besmirched, yeah.
But he's great at that dopey sidekick comedy dude. I mean, he nails it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jamie Lee's incredible in it.
She's really good, yeah.
Just, I'm a big fan of her. I don't like every movie she's been in, but I'm a big fan of her. I think she usually does a great job.
And James Cameron does a great job of taking a female like role, changing her from like this mousy type of thing into like a badass at the end of the movie. You know, she's fucking punching Tia out in the limo and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what was. I like these movies like this where there's how do I put it? Like where it's just the crisscrossing of God, I don't know how to phrase it. Like just the hijinks. Like I like the fact that there is plenty of like suspense and action, but then there's just kind of like these. They're sort of bumbling, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Like bumbling hijinks that go on, you know, even with your main heroes or whatever of the movie.
That scene where she's got that Uzi and she's trying to kill those dudes and she drops it and it just goes down the stairs and is shooting everybody. It's awesome.
It's ridiculous.
But she saved the day. I mean,
it's all that matters in the end.
Yeah. Bill Paxton.
Dude. Would a spy pee himself? Man, I got a small dick.
Dude, Bill Paxton, just what a god among men.
Rest in peace, buddy.
So many good movies. You know, we're gonna get more. I have a feeling that just knowing a lot of the movies I want to talk about and different subjects, we're just going to keep coming back to Bill Paxton, like so much, you know.
He's in another movie that we'll be talking about soon here. So, in a small role, but he's in it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, yeah. Oh, gosh, I forgot. Heston's
actually,
in
two.
Yeah.
Heston. Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
It's funny because I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while. And when I was watching the credits, it said Charlton Heston as, and I was like, Charlton Heston's in this movie? And then I remembered, he's like the director of the Omega thing. Yeah.
Right. But, and this movie, this was a remake, right?
It was a remake from a 1991 French film, La Totale?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know
Totale.
that.
Yeah.
No shit.
I've never seen it. I've never seen that. I've never seen the French movie, but
wow.
I'd heard, that it was a remake. I'd be curious to know how different it is.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it now just so I can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to understand a word of it, but hopefully there's subtitles.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, again, I don't know how much more to say about it. It's just, it's kind of, I feel like this movie was really big when it came out. Like it was really popular. And I feel like I don't hear people talk about it as much anymore. You know, do you know? Like,
like when you talk about an Arnold movie, it's usually not the one you bring up right away, you know?
Well, I mean, if I recall correctly, when we first started talking about this and we started kind of like going, okay, well, what would we pick? Just trying to think about it. And I think we all kind of were like, oh, True Lies. It wasn't one that immediately came to our minds when we were just riffing on ideas, But then once I remembered it and once I, once I saw it again, it was like, oh yeah, dude, this is one of the best ones. This is a great movie. And a lot of crossover appeal. And stuff. Any other interesting notes about it? I mean,
well, weren't you telling me in her stripping scene, like when she fell, she really fell?
Yeah, I think I don't know if that's true.
I've heard that too.
I've heard that as a
and he went to get up to help her, and that's why he reacted like that.
And they kind of kept it, that's brilliant.
Yeah, if that's what happened, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The acting of all of them and both of them in that whole scene, that's just such. It's such an amazing scene. Like she acts that so well, and it's great because anybody that knows Jamie Lee knows that she is not a timid, mousy, shy woman. She is a very strong, bold, smart, energetic woman. So there's the way she played that and the transition, brilliant.
Yeah, it was great.
That would be why she won awards from this movie.
Oh really?
Okay.
Yeah, she won. What did she win? Hold on, I lost it. Hold on.
Well,
she won a Golden Globe and a Saturn Awards for Best Actress.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew she won the Golden Globe. So no Academy Awards for this one, though.
No, I think they were
nominated.
Nominated, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Nominated for it, but they didn't win. And for BAFTA, too, I think.
Okay.
And 8 other Saturn Awards or something.
Jeez.
Yeah,
okay.
it was up for a lot of awards, so that's how good it is.
It's a James Cameron picture. I mean, Cameron knows what he's doing. He's one of the world's greatest filmmakers, in my humble opinion.
It's funny, yeah. Some people are going to argue that one with you, but I think I like Cameron. I think he
knows what he wants, and he can do every job on that set better than anybody else probably, and because he knows exactly what he needs to do, and he makes it happen, and the end product is just spectacular.
Yeah, he makes Vito movies. That's for sure.
Speaking of, they were supposed to make a remake of this, or a sequel.
A sequel,
really?
A sequel in 2002, but they canceled it because of 9/11 because they didn't want to do a terrorist attack.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking it
what? And Arnold,
lighthearted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. And Schwarzenegger was in Collateral Damage around the same time.
Same time, exactly. And they had to completely move that out, too, because of 9/11 and completely redo the movie, basically.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and that was, I believe, like a serious terrorist movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
I haven't seen that one. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to go down to Colombia to revenge his daughter and wife's killer because they bombed America. So they couldn't release that one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and I think it had the towers and stuff in it too. And so they were like, nope, can't do it.
No.
Let's postpone.
I remember that was in the trailer, I think, too.
It was. They had to completely redo it.
Yeah.
No can do, Jerry.
That one almost made my top 5. That was almost my number 5.
Oh, okay.
Or Collateral Damage.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I get I can understand why that was a touchy time. Still touchy, but especially then, I can understand why. True Lies, I like it more, I think, because it's just a standalone movie. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes sequels are great, but I love that it's just what it is, So, yeah. Cool. All right. True Lies. The next movie we will talk about that was pretty high up on Megan's list was 2017's Killing Gunther. So why did you choose this one?
Now, Arnold, I don't want to give too much away because it is a newer movie.
Right.
But he's not in it the entire time. This is kind of going to be like my Age of Adeline, where Harrison Ford wasn't in it the whole movie, but when he was,
gotcha,
it was epic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how this was with Arnold. It's like he sold it at the end and made it amazing. It was a great movie for it, but that made it amazing. So that's why.
What I've heard about it from you guys and everything, because I haven't seen it, and now I really want to see it. You were saying that it's got it's got a tone to it that reminds you of us.
It does, yeah. It's,
or at least something we would make.
It's ludicrous.
We're pretty ludicrous.
We are very ludicrous.
And just some of the jokes and the situations.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. I was like, how could we twist this? Like, no, because that's exactly what we would say. We can't twist this. We can't use any of this. They already did it.
Yeah.
So.
It's got Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live and not Colin. It's Karen Killam or
Taran Killam.
Taran Killam. Yeah, he was from SNL and all that too. Yeah, okay.
So
he was the main bad guy.
Yeah, so he was kind of the leader
there
of
really was no bad guy.
Yeah, they're all bad guys.
Yeah, that's true. They are all bad guys.
I mean, basically, the plot is, 6 or 7 assassins?
Assassins set out to kill the head honcho assassin that nobody knows.
Yeah.
They don't know who he is or what he looks like, but they're going to kill him.
But he's like the world's elite assassin, and they need to kill him, I guess, so they can.
They want to be
top
dogs. Yeah, they want to be the top dogs. So they hire a documentary crew to document the entire thing, so they have the proof that they killed it.
Okay.
And everything backfires. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Everything backfires epically.
So is there a lot of action in it? In a way, but it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
And each assassin has their own tick or weapon of choice. The Japanese poison guy is my favorite dude. All the other guys have hand-to-hand combat skills. They use guns, but this Japanese guy goes, "I bought my poison," and he opens a jag. He's just got vials of poison, and that's what he uses to kill people. And there's a scene.
Or you talking about when he throws?
Yeah, so he didn't make it. They're getting shot
throws
from
10 feet away.
Dude, it was. Man, Larry, you gotta watch it.
Did he just throw poison at me? It's like he didn't even come close. He's on top of a building, like a 10-story building.
5 blocks away, and he just throws a vial, and it goes to the parking lot, and that's it. Dude,
it's that kind of shit.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds awesome. Okay, yeah, I got to see this.
One guy has a robot arm, kind of like Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's right.
And it's powered by a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, but the battery doesn't.
Every time it dies, he gets stuck like this.
It's great.
He's like, hold on, I'm dead. Hold on, I gotta recharge.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty funny.
It is, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, but don't tell me anymore. I don't want to know how it ends.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it.
Because I definitely want to see this movie. But I don't know much. I didn't hear too much about it.
I think it was straight to, hold on, it's
was it like a Netflix
video
thing?
on demand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I watched it
and then it was limited theatrical release after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of an indie film, I think. I don't know if there was a big studio behind it for it. Yeah, because I had never heard it until you had brought it up.
Yeah, it's on, was it on Netflix or Hulu or both?
I think I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Okay, that would be like video on demand.
Yeah, it was free on Prime.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, whatever I watched it on was included.
Yeah.
Interesting to think that, I know you're saying it's kind of a smaller movie, but that a Schwarzenegger film, even if he's not in it a lot, that what a different day and age we live in, that a Schwarzenegger film would go direct to like Amazon Prime kind of thing. Like, wow.
That's Steven Seagal's whole career now, so.
Right, yeah, well, no offense to Mr. Seagal, but there's a difference there when we're talking about Arnold and Steven.
Well, because it's Arnold and stuff, that may be why he did it, because it was such a great, fun role. He's like, I'm just going to have fun with this. I don't care if it's not going to be a big theater movie.
It goes back to what we heard, I've heard about Arnold, is that that's how he is that he wants to do things based on, is it going to be fun? Am I going to enjoy this? Is it going to be fun for me and fun for other people? Whether it's a comedy or action or whatever. That would stand to reason. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So good on him, man. Yeah, I got to see this.
It's awesome.
It's
awesome.
That's why it made my top 2.
Cool. All right. Well, we can't say too much about that one because it's new.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
But that definitely, I think it piqued my interest. So hopefully, I think I'm sure you've piqued some people's interest then, man. It sounds pretty kooky.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, man, let's get into, I'd like to talk about one of my favorites. I know it's one of Vito's favorites. Let's talk about Commando.
Motherfucking Commando.
Fucking Commando, dude. So Commando came out in 1985.
Yes.
And that, to me, I know I've heard other people say this too, and I can't disagree, but this is always what I've said for years and years and years about it. To me, this is... Oh, this is going to be debatable. This is the quintessential Schwarzenegger movie. More than Terminator, more than,
Wow.
Recall or anything like that. This is, and the reason I say that is because, well, of course, he is the T-800. It's Terminator. You can't take that away from him. But because that's such a specific character, such a specific role, he's playing that character. It's so robotic and this and that. It represents that part of Schwarzenegger. But to me, I think when people think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, they think of this character. They may not even know. They may not have ever even seen Commando. But if it was like even asking like some 18-year-old kid today and be like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, how would you picture him in a movie? And they're gonna say with the fucking tech vest on and the camouflage paint and all the weapons and driving a bulldozer into a pawn shop to get or to an army surplus and stuff, with a rocket launcher and all that, like, I mean, just that first scene of him carrying
the tree trunk,
trunk on his shoulder. I mean, like that's fucking Schwarzenegger right there. And this movie is ridiculous.
It's very ridiculous.
So ridiculous, But when I saw this when it was new, man.
Nice.
And I was like 12, 13.
That's a good age to watch this movie.
Fuck, yes, it was. And that's why it's so high on my list. This movie, I mean, when you're like 13 years old, Commando, and 13 years old in the mid-'80s, Commando is your shit, Like, and I was like almost about the same age as Alyssa Milano's hot little ass. I was all, me and my buddy Steve, we were all about Alyssa Milano. He named his daughter Alyssa when he got older.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of disturbing.
Yeah. No, he's a good dude. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I actually don't know if it had anything to do with that or he just liked the name, But when we were kids, we were that age, we watched Who's the Boss, we'd hang out eating flaming Doritos or whatever, eating Doritos with Heine's hot sauce on it, drinking Jolt Cola.
Jolt.
And everything, and watching the Tuesday night lineup of like Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, all that. Alyssa Milano was on there, her and all her little tween teen friends, and they would be in episodes, and we were just like in love with them, So it was like the best combination. You had that, and you had Arnie, in this, man. I mean, just right off the bat, it's just when those guys are picking off all the dudes from his unit, and everything. It's just right off the bat. It's like, and go.
Yeah, we're hitting
like,
it. Yeah.
They just hit the ground running. There's so few spots in this movie where they kind of chill at all,
Now, is this okay?
Yeah.
I think I may have seen this. You may have just jogged my memory. It's like she's like wearing coveralls or something,
Yes.
and she gets kidnapped.
Yes.
Oh,
See,
okay.
Fucking of course you've seen Commando. Everybody's seen Commando. This movie's the bomb, dude.
He like comes up to there and fucks them all up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
To put it mildly.
In the best possible way.
There's so many great scenes of him fucking up dudes like that. I mean, those landmines that he places on the buildings with the cutout dudes that you can totally tell they're cutout guys.
Yeah.
Just him with that fucking machine gun, the Rambo machine gun, the shotgun, the fucking tool shed scene, which was cut when I watched it on TV as a kid. So when I saw the tape of it, I was like, holy fuck.
Right. And see, so that's the thing. A lot of people of my generation, I saw the full thing, but a lot of people in my generation saw it like on TV and stuff. And they again, getting back to, they cut it up a lot, man, because it's a violent movie and everything. So, I think a lot of people later, a lot of kids later, when they actually got their hands on like the tape or, whatever, it was like, holy shit, like this is way more like brutal and exciting.
If you don't remember, Megan, there's a scene where he's in the tool shed. He just got like, a grenade went off. He got some shrapnel on the side. So he's hiding out in a tool shed, but they go to find him and he's hiding in there and he takes a pitchfork and he just stabs a motherfucker in the chest. He grabs like a saw blade, throws it like a frisbee and scalps this dude.
And they show
my God.
Yeah. Then he has a katana in the tool shed for some reason. And he chops some guy's arm off and the guy's like, oh, he and
and
blood.
it's really like that.
It's crazy, and I didn't see that on TV. So when I saw it, I was like, "Holy fuck, this is fucking incredible!" That might have been the first time I saw a dude's arm get chopped off.
Yeah, it probably was mine. Well, no, it wasn't mine. It would have been mine because I watched. When I was much younger, I saw Excalibur, the movie, and that's a pretty grim. Dudes getting limbs cut off and stuff in that. So I saw that, but this was definitely one. It was definitely the first time I saw anybody get scalped with a fucking saw blade. That's still,
yeah, man.
That's still fucking. Just picturing that in my head, that's still. You're gonna have to put a still up of that one, man. It's like that. That's so grim. It's ridiculous. This movie is just so ridiculous, but so many great lines. Let off a little steam. And
don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
The guy on the plane.
It's awesome.
This movie is, and that's why I'm saying. That's why, even though this didn't make my number one, that's why I'm like, this is. If you had to only show somebody one Schwarzenegger movie, I'm not even saying it's the best. It's not better than T2. It's not better than even some of the other ones we made. True Lies is a much better movie. Yeah. But if you had to show somebody that's never seen any Schwarzenegger movies and they're like, "What's this whole Schwarzenegger thing about?" Like, I hear all that, I'd put on Commando because I'd be like, "This is it. It's got all the lines, the corny, silly like one-liners. There's so much of that. It's like what people think of when they think of Schwarzenegger."
I'll have to agree with you on that for sure. Yeah,
it really is. Even though it's not even one of his most popular movies, ironically, but that character of John Matrix, that is who I think the general public thinks of when they think of Arnold Schwarzenegger action, movie hero,
Yeah.
So that's why it was my number 2, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it was way up there. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's such a good, like, stormy Saturday night. Get some bad food for you. Get some beers or some sodas or whatever. And like, you want to watch something goofy by yourself or with friends or whatever, like, put on Commando. It's just, at the end of it, you're gonna feel a little bit dumber, but you're gonna go, okay, that was fun. Like, there's gonna be so many times you're just gonna shake your head laughing. Or
you're gonna have a grin on your face the entire time.
Yeah, you're just gonna be like, oh my god.
It's like listening to Hammerfall. Like, the grin just stays on your face the whole time.
Yeah, Hammerfall is even. I would say that this is probably, this would be sort of like if you were listening to like Manowar. It's more of like a Manowar meets Grim Reaper kind of vibe. Like, just listening to that, you're just like, oh, you kind of roll your eyes at it because it's so ludicrously over the top. But you're like, but it's kind of great, man. It's just kind of great, So yeah, that's Commando. For me, I don't know. I don't think there's much more to say about it.
Except we get another Bill Duke performance as in Predator. He's in this movie too, and he's great. So as Cook.
Oh, and I do want to bring up that what's his name? David Patrick Kelly is in it, who played Luther in The Warriors. One of the most famous character in The Warriors, the one that shot Cyrus. He shot Cyrus. With the bottles on his fingers. Yeah. He's such a creepy little fuck.
He is. He's in 48 Hours. He plays another like creepy dude too.
He was in a movie. Oh, what was it called? Was it called Dreamscape? He was in a movie.
Sounds familiar.
With I'm trying to think, but it's about going into people's like dreams. It's kind of Inception-ish in a way, but this was from the mid 80s and stuff, and that was a cool movie. You need to see that movie.
Dreamscape. Right?
Yeah. I think it's called Dreamscape.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. In fact, actually, I'm going to look it up. But he's just one of those. He's one of those actors that just can do these creepy. He's perfect playing that slimy little fucking.
He's
snake,
totally
man.
slimy with Ray Don Chon when he's trying to hit on her at the airport.
Fucking whore.
Yeah.
She's like, fucking whore.
Dude's like 4'2" or whatever, trying to hit on this chick. And
have you ever seen The Warriors? Have you guys ever seen The Warriors?
I've seen clips. I know the character you're talking about, but
dude, real quick, because we'll talk about Warriors sometime. We have to. There's a scene when he and all. It's after they've shot Cyrus and everything. They go into this like late night corner store thing. and this girl sitting there behind the counter, this kind of mousy girl, who's one of the girls who used to be on 3-2-1 Contact on PBS, dude.
Right, with the airplane propeller. Is that the 3-2-1 Contact?
I don't know. It could be. Anyway, the thing is, but I knew her from that. So she's just sitting there like behind the counter. I don't know why the hell this poor little girl is sitting there working at this fucking store in the ghetto in the middle of the night. And these fucking asshole gang members come in there and everything. And they start grabbing like candy bars and just eating them and stuff. And they're talking about worried about whether or not people are going to find out they're the ones that really shot Cyrus, not the Warriors and all this. And then all of a sudden they get ready to walk out and the girl goes, "Hey," and they turn around and she goes, "What about the money you owe?" And David Kelly looks at her. He's got half candy bar in his hand, and he goes, "So what?" And he throws the fucking candy in her face. It's so fucking funny. It's one of my favorite movie moments ever. I think about that like all the time. My inner asshole.
Do they show it getting hit her face
like,
and stuff?
Her, it like ricochets off the counter, hits her in the head. He's such a fucking little cunt. He's such a jag-off, man. He's so good at it. He's probably like super awesome. He's probably like a super awesome dude. But man, he just has that look and it's again, even just he's a minor character in Commando, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
This is a perfectly stupid movie. So check out Commando, folks, and The Warriors if you haven't already. All right, man. So I think we're at our number ones.
I believe so.
Right?
Yeah, we are. Holy shit! How did we do that?
Boy,
That went by fast.
we're cruising by fast. Yeah, I'm having a good time.
Yeah,
All right.
It's a lot of fun.
Anybody? Well, you know what? How about, because I have notes up on my screen right now. Meg, do you mind if we touch on your number one first?
We can start with mine.
Okay. Can we touch your number one? Everybody would really like to touch on your number one.
I don't even know where you. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not even.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll
Let's
just
move on. Fuck it. I'm done.
You're like, it's too late for this shit, dude. But anyway, in all seriousness, so your number one was
Kindergarten Cop from 1990.
90, right? Yeah. So
Wow, that was 90, huh?
yeah. So you got in
Jeez.
90, you got Recall and Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, that's crazy.
About
Wow.
as far away on the spectrum there as you can get. That was really him branching out, because 90, that was kind of like his year, man. You know, he really branched out from that.
Was Twins like 88 or something? Or?
88 or 89.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
All right.
I think it was right around there. So
Yeah, because they did hit that one first.
88.
88, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a whole bunch of these silly movies like this after Twins kind of, I think, opened up the floodgates.
Yeah,
for
because
that.
I saw an interview where he always wanted to do comedy, but he always got pigeonholed into these more serious roles. So he's really excited to do Twins.
And he's great at comedy. Like
I
his
love him
comedic
in
timing is
comedy.
great.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what to do.
And in that same interview, he happened to say that Kindergarten Cop was his favorite movie of his.
Really?
Wow.
And that's why I had to make it my number one.
All right.
I can't argue with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He'll kick my ass.
You know, yeah, okay. It's a good movie, man. I just, you know, and I certainly don't, I'm not going to argue with you about it being your number one and everything, but just the idea just goes to show folks like the difference, you know, so like even like with us, when people are like, how can you not think Pale on Departure is the best album you guys ever did? And I'm just like, cause I don't, you know, like I you know, I'm real proud of it, like that album, but I don't think it's our best album. You know, as artists, we see things differently when we're in it and making it. So just the idea of all the movies, for him to say Kindergarten Cop is his favorite.
To be fair, I don't know how old that interview was.
Well, but even so.
Yeah, he hadn't done Terminator Genesis yet, so.
Clearly.
Oh, wow.
Why are you guys laughing?
We're not.
Because I haven't, right. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but there's just something that tells me that even if I had seen that movie, that I'd still be laughing. There's just something that's to say. Okay, anyway. Anyway, well, I mean, what else do you like about this movie?
I mean, it has everything. It's got comedy.
Right.
Great comedy. I love him interaction with the kids. Like that scene where he picks up the kid eating the lunches.
Yeah.
He's like, "Is that your lunch?" Like, "No." And he picks him up. He's like, "So you're eating everybody else's lunches? You can't do that." And the kid like spits it all out, and he just drops the kid.
Stop doing that. What are you doing with this? Yeah.
There's a scene where he knocks a toy out of like this kid's hand. It's just, it's like a quiet line. You can barely know what he says, but it just cracks me up, man, every time I hear that.
He screams at him, "Shut up!" I'm like, "It's not a tumor." I mean, it's got tons of great one-liners.
It does.
So it's all Arnold there. It's got the violence with him chasing down the drug dealer. It's got romance. It's got everything.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
That's valid, man.
It is.
I can't argue that because I mean it's not like I'm going, "Oh, it's such a bad movie." It's not. It's a good movie. The title makes you think.
Yeah.
And some of the subject matter, but yeah, it's that movie. I mean, Twins was big, and that was his first real big jump into comedy and stuff. But I feel like that movie was just as much a Danny DeVito movie as his. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people felt that DeVito sort of carried a lot of that movie on his shoulders as well. And so I don't think I think Kindergarten Cop was the one that really made people go, "Oh shit, Arnie's he could do this.
Yeah.
Like he's a comedian. This wasn't just a fluke, like he's good at this. Like we can see him carrying these kind of movies on his own." Now, which is not to say that everything he did after that was in this vein. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names because I still got to bring up things after later. But this is a good movie, and it's become one of those. To me, Kindergarten Cop is one of those like signature 90s movies. It's one of those movies of its time, and if you did like a time capsule kind of thing, you'd have T2 in there. You'd have a couple other, possibly like might have one or two other like Arnie movies, but I think this would be in there.
And I think it still holds up because my nephews love Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they're we're like 6 and 11 now, or 5 and 11, and they love it.
And that's cool too, because it's cool that being honest, up to that point, Arnold's movies were not kid friendly.
Although we watched them as kids primarily,
that's not the point. Just because
they weren't marketed towards the child demographic.
We should not have been watching it, is the thing. But they were, that's the thing. We watched them, but this was one of the first ones, I think, where it was like, you could have an 8-year-old kid and going like, "Oh, I love, he's in one of my favorite movies," and not have it be like, Predator or Commando or something.
Or like the dad can take the kid and still enjoy it in some way because it still has his favorite action star, but in a different role,
Exactly. Yeah.
See? It's got everything for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's, that's a pretty solid number one. I got to give you that.
Well, thank you.
I got to give you that. You're still wrong about Die Hard, but I'll give you that. You're just saying,
Well, stop saying because you're wrong. Knock this shit off.
And just one last thing about this is the interesting thing was this wasn't actually originally even supposed to be Arnold's movie.
Really?
Nope.
No, the original person they wanted to play it, and God, it would have just been such a different movie. Was Bill Murray.
Really?
Can you even imagine that?
I could imagine it, but it would just be such a different.
It'd be
tone.
Meatballs.
I haven't seen Meatballs.
But just with younger kids.
You know what's funny, Meg? I've only seen like little bits and pieces of Meatballs. So
I loved Meatballs growing up.
Okay, so here's the thing, folks, real quick, okay? I don't want to stray off because we're at our number ones. Would you folks love to see the three of us do sort of a another kind of podcast show thing, part of Geeking Poetic podcast, where we each make each other watch movies that the others haven't seen. Like Meg's, I know because you've mentioned it before that you love Meatballs.
Yes.
The movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
I like all meatballs.
Yeah. We're back to her love of her affinity for balls of all kinds. But
I'm not picky.
you should be picky about balls, you know. Anyway,
all right.
but like something like that, when then we haven't seen it, and then stuff like Dark Star, and she hasn't. Like, would people love to see us like sit down and like watch and review those kind of movies? You know, like even if we sat and like actually watched it and talked about it, like split screen, kind of like when you do your video game, when your Vito plays things and stuff. Let us know if anybody would be interested in that, you know, because I think that could be fun.
That would be fun.
I say we do it anyway.
Yeah, even if nobody says we should do it anyway.
You know what?
Because we think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
You know what? Good point. Fuck
We're
you
here
people.
for fun.
Because if you don't like it, we think you suck. How about that? Huh?
How do you like
seriously.
that? How do you like me now?
How about that shit? How come? Anyway, so all right, so that was Megan's number one, was Kindergarten Cop.
That is my number one.
Cool. Can we talk about my number one then?
Let's go for it, buddy.
All right, let's get into this. So,
Mr. Conan the Barbarian. Not Conan the Librarian.
not Conan. Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?
These books are a little late.
When he splits that guy down the middle. That was from, for if you don't know, Weird Al Yankovic did a movie in the late 80s called UHF. And there was like a little spoof thing in there about a TV show he created called Conan the Librarian.
Oh.
That's so genius, man.
It was. It's because Weird Al Yankovic is a genius. I think he's a genius. I mean, his whole thing is he's made a career out of doing song parodies. He's just parodying songs. And anybody that knows me real well knows that that's all I do. I never release them. I don't record them. But all I do is I hear things and I automatically like change the words and parody them in my head all the time. It's kind of
all the time.
It's kind of a sickness, actually. It's a problem. I'm real big on misunderstanding song lyrics, you know. But anyway, yeah, I love that gag. But that notwithstanding, you know, 1980. In 1982, a movie was released onto the world featuring Austrian bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger in his first big role as Conan the Barbarian. Later, he made a really crappy sequel that starred that crazy bald-head chick Grace Jones. But that is a tale for another time. Sorry, that was my Mako impersonation. That was everything. I know all the, you know, I as I said earlier, I know all the dialogue from this movie. Again, this is my number one. I already kind of gave it away earlier. This is my number one because I love the Conan character. I love this movie. When I was a kid, all the sword and sorcery stuff, that was my shit, man. There was things like Conan, there was Beastmaster. Oh, we need to do a whole show about like sword and sorcery type movies. There was all that kind of stuff. Krull, you know. I mean, when you're a young kid that's like a tween in the early 80s, these movies were it. And Conan to me was the pinnacle of it, because those other movies like Beastmaster and Krull and stuff are great. I think they're great movies, but they're not they're not A-class movies, you know. They're not A-list movies, rather. Mm-hmm. They're definitely B. Conan is an A-list movie. I mean, there's this movie's got everything. It's got humor, it's got amazing action, it's got tension. James Earl Jones, man, holy shit! What an incredible villain, because he's so evil. He's just so brutal, but then he's so charismatic and he's chilled. Like, you never see him like freaking the fuck out. He never just rages out in this, man.
That makes him extra creepy.
And it makes him like, and I just, especially as a kid, I hated him so much. I hated the character. I love James Earl Jones. He's amazing, but I just hated that character so much, you know. And you just through the whole movie, I was just, because it, you know, when it starts, again, spoilers. I mean, this movie's, you know, as old as Vito is.
Yeah, literally.
You know, he starts out with beheading Conan's hot as fuck mom. Holy shit, Conan had a hot ass mom, man. That chick was gorgeous. You know, beheads her while Conan's holding her hand. Then he sends him off to push this fucking wheel thing for 20 years. You know, just everything. And then, you know, then all the stuff. Then he ties him to he was tied to the tree of woe for 7 days. Sorry, I'm quoting old fucking NWA wrestling and stuff. I was tied to the tree of woe for 7 days and I saw the face of King Kong Bundy, you know, but anyway, sorry, we'll talk about wrestling another time, but he ties him to the tree of woe and everything. And, you know, and then I love, Sandal Bergman's character, you know, the female heroine in it, that Conan's woman. And then he shoots her with that fucking, he takes that snake and he like straightens him out and makes a fucking arrow out of him. He can't just kill the broad with a fucking arrow. He's got to shoot a snake at her. This snake goes into her side and so she dies. So Conan has just had this shit, poor, fucking awful life. Earlier he tries to bang. He's been in captivity. He's been in captivity his whole life. He finally gets set free, kind of against his wishes. He gets set free and then he goes into the desert and he runs across this like witch chick, this hot witch chick who bangs him, and he's like, fuck yeah, I'm finally gonna get some booty. And then she turns into some ravenous creature thing, and he's like, fuck, I can't even bang this chick without her trying to kill me, and he has to throw her ass in the fire. Then he runs into fucking Ming the Merciless, who's like, you gotta save my princess daughter because she went off with some hippie cult thing and everything, and if you do, you know, I'll you know, I won't kill you 3 or whatever, you know. So he's got to go do all this. Then he finds out that this broad's part of James Earl Jones. Darth Vader's got his cult going, and she's like his bitch. And he's got this big ass like ruby stone thing that he wants. Then he turns into a big old crazy fucking snake dude. That's the best part. That's the best part of the whole movie, man, is when they're looking. Well, you see our teasers, you know. That's the best part of the whole movie, man, is when he's sitting there in that robe with that snake face. Looking like Kermit and shit. Fucking, it just, anyway, the point is like, he goes through all this, and then when it gets to the very end, and he's finally face to face with James Earl Jones, it's just the two of them up there on that top of that Aztec looking temple thing. And James Earl Jones has the nerve to sit there, you know, he's like all talking to him all calm. He's like, but you're my son, you know, like, you know, you're my child. You know, he's like, and everything. And he's like, that snake had a child. And he's like, and he's good. And you see, you know, Conan just kind of like, damn, like he starts to like chill, and you're like, no, dude, don't chill out now. Like you got him. Like, don't let him fucking. And then all of a sudden, Arnie just looks up and is like, wait a minute. Fuck you. And he just chops that fucking Jagoff's head off and tosses it down there like a baseball on the field of dreams, man. Like, fucking, he sent that dude out into the cornfield with that, pitched that head down there. Fucking strike. And when you're like 9 years old, 10 years old, like I was when I saw that, it just made my day. I just kind of walked out of the house like beaming a little bit. I was like, Conan is a bad motherfucker, man. I love that movie. It's a great movie. I mean, you know, it's of its time. You know, there's some of, you know, he does punch a camel in the face.
Really?
Yeah, he knocks out a camel. Conan gets real drunk one night. It's funny when they the scene when they steal all the jewels and everything. So now they're the three. It's Conan and his girlfriend and his best friend sidekick guy. They're why can't I think of Jerry Lopez, the sidekick guy, when they're out like partying up in the town and everything, getting drunk, punching camels, passing out in their food. Like, it's a great movie, man. If you haven't seen it, right?
No, surprisingly.
Oh man, dude, it's a great movie. It's one of those ones, just do yourself a favor. Again, much like I was saying about Commando, if you got a night, Saturday night or Friday night or something, you're like chilling and it's like you're going to get some like pizza or, you know, some deep dish or some shit and a couple beers, watch Conan. It's a fucking hoot, man. And that's why, as much as, like I said, as much as to me, Commando is the quintessential Schwarzenegger movie, for me, Conan is, if I could only ever watch one Schwarzenegger movie ever again, I would have to choose Conan, because that was the first for me, like T2 was for you. It was the first for me, and every time I watch it, I never get tired of it. Like, if I happen to turn on FX and it's on or something, I'm like plopping down to watch this, even though it's probably edited and stuff. You know, I'm like, I gotta watch it. It's just one of those movies. It made me love that movie, and Excalibur made me love swords, because I love swords. I can't afford them, but I love swords and all that. It just really made me appreciate that kind of stuff. So that's mine. Number one.
That's a good number one.
Yeah.
So
solid number one again.
Yeah. Last but certainly not least, we come to Vito's number one favorite. And I mean, even though Megan and I made it our number 5 favorites, I mean, we all are definitely in agreement that this is pretty damn great. Yes. Which is
the Terminator franchise, I guess. Yeah, we'll have to call it for now, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's just too much to talk about with this. So, Vito, why don't you run with this one a little bit?
So, out of the 5 movies for now, T2 is at the top of my list. Has been. It's literally my favorite movie of all time. I think it is the greatest movie ever made in the history of mankind. That's my humble opinion.
Damn.
But I am obsessed with time travel and machines that send other machines and people back in time to kill people to change the future. I've just always been to time travel and changing the future. I just love that whole concept. And Arnold like embodies that machine assassin so well. Like, I don't know who else could have played this role as well as Schwarzenegger does.
Right.
Yeah, it was like it was made for him.
Exactly. He just has the look. He's got the attitude. The accent makes him even scarier. You know, it's such an incredible character and concept, the whole Terminator universe and everything. So that has to be my number one.
Yeah, and obviously, okay, so, well, again, we don't want to give too much away, but you kind of did. I mean, T2 is your favorite. Just out of curiosity, what would be your second favorite? That's tough. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. You would think it'd be Terminator 1, but I actually I watch Terminator 3 more than I do the first one, and I really, really, really enjoyed Terminator Genesis, which a lot of people hate that movie. I think it's great. I really think it's great. There's so many ideas that they bring up that could branch off into different topics, which they're not going to cover now because they canceled the other 2 movies in that series, which fucking blows. But Cameron is back to producing Terminator 6, which we're going to get in 2019, which is next year. Linda Hamilton is back. I have some high hopes for that movie.
Yeah, me too.
So, for right now, it's hard. It's probably 2, 5, 3, 1, 4.
Wow, you put 1 that far down.
Yeah.
See, for me, that was, Terminator 1
that's yours.
That was my movie. I remember I saw that. I rented it. I think. Pretty sure I rented it. I don't think I saw it at the theater. I know I saw T2 at the theater when it came out. But that was my movie. It was so different, It was, for kids my age, at first it kind of got lumped in with, because they came out real close together with Highlander, the first Highlander movie, and they kind of had a similar, totally different movies, but they had a similar kind of vibe to them, and darkness to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were, whatever you want to call it, dystopian in ways, you know. And I still, I can't help it. It's hard for me to separate the way I grew up with it and everything. For me, my number one out of Terminators would probably, but we'll see, because I still haven't seen those other movies. Like I said, that's why I put it further down on the list. But for me, as it sits right now, without going back and reviewing them and all, I would probably put Terminator 1 number one, just slightly.
Yeah.
Slightly over T2, because T2 is an incredible movie. I mean, what a groundbreaking movie, man.
That set the bar
You know?
for special effects,
That's-
even till now, I think. I mean, that's to me, that movie could be released this summer and it would have been the same impactful blockbuster hit, with the special effects still being top notch.
They were pretty amazing. I mean, everybody.
You even watched
The
like
T-1000, when that
Dude.
people were like, "How are they doing
Yeah.
that?" I mean, we'd seen CG at that point, but you know, to some degree, but not like that.
and some of that CG is even better than movies today, I think.
Yeah, well,
Which, I mean,
yeah,
that's
that's a whole other discussion. Unfortunately, it's because I think they've gotten so carried away with CG now that they think everything looks real. No, it doesn't. I think everybody's so used to video games and stuff anymore that they think that like that looks. I'm like, no, that doesn't look real
Yeah.
to me. So I don't know.
and I wanted to be Eddie Furlong when I was a kid. I mean,
Well, you were the right age for
yeah, I mean,
that, you know,
he was my dude.
with a jean jacket on it, riding around a little motorcycle and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I'm sure you know this, but for people out there that don't know, they actually offered Stallone, again, getting back to the Stallone and Rocky thing, they actually offered Stallone the role. They offered Mel Gibson the role,
I did hear about the Mel Gibson thing.
which some people might go, oh, well, you know, whatever, you know, Mel Gibson, big star. But it's interesting to think that they offered Mel Gibson the role then, because Mel Gibson was not a big star.
You're talking about the 84 one,
Yes.
the original one, yeah.
Yes.
Had he even done Mad Max?
Yes, he had done.
Okay.
He had, but the newest thing he had done at that point was Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Okay.
That had come out in '82, and that was not a big movie. It's well, even now it's still kind of cult, but it was not a big movie. I mean, it was more well known still, like Down Under. But Mad Max and Road Warrior were like cult movies. He was still very cult. This was before Beyond Thunderdome, which was a big theatrical release here. And then from there, that springboarded him into, was it Lethal Weapon? And
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
other
yeah.
stuff that came shortly thereafter. So it's interesting that they thought about Mel Gibson. And he's not a big guy. You
Right.
know what I mean? I guess it didn't have to be a big guy, but it works better as a big guy.
Well, originally, I think Michael Biehn was set up to be the Terminator role, and Arnold was supposed to be the Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese type of character. But then Cameron met with Arnold. He's like, no, you're the Terminator.
You're the
because
Arnold wanted to be Reese. Yeah.
yeah. So
You know, I hesitate to even bring this up, but do you know who the studio actually suggested to Cameron to play the Terminator?
I know Lance was up for the role for a little bit. No.
The studio told Cameron that he should audition O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That's right.
O.J.
Yeah,
Simpson to be the Terminator, and Cameron turned it down because, quote, he didn't think anybody would believe O.J. Simpson was a killer.
Well, he was fresh off Capricorn 1. I mean,
Yeah.
Squeaky clean right there.
So anyway, and that is, who knows, you know, that's maybe I don't, I think they're right though. I don't think anybody would have bought into that. I don't think, you know, I mean, OJ could have, you never know. He might have had the chops to be able to pull off that kind of, but you had to play that just robotic. I mean, who could play that but Schwarzenegger? None of the other guys would have been able to play,
Yeah.
you know. They wouldn't have been able to play off that kind of. I feel like at that point, Arnold's his accent and just the way he carried himself, that helped make the T-800 what it was.
And his bodybuilding background where he's literally doing reps in a certain position that way for hours at end. So he's already disciplined to do those specific movements. So that's perfect.
Robotic, just exactly. So, I mean, again, nothing against Simpson as an actor or whatever, or even Mel Gibson or Stallone, but no, wouldn't have worked.
Once we get like quantum computers and we can like look into other quantum realms and see like how other futures would develop, I would be interested to see what that universe would look like if Mel Gibson played the Terminator or Simpson played the Terminator. I mean,
well, it would have changed a lot of things. I mean, because I don't know. Again, Terminator wasn't like a breakout hit when it came out. It was big. It was popular, but it wasn't. It became popular in the years after the fact. It became popular. It did well at the box office, all things considered. It did well, but it became more popular in the movie rental market and everything. It became a good Saturday night rental movie for years. That's why it took a while. Well, it also took a while to develop all the stuff they needed for T2.
And it helped Cameron land the Aliens gig because the studio saw how well he did with that low budget. They're like, all right, I think you can do this.
Right.
Why don't you do the Aliens thing,
Right. So I think that had Terminator not done what it did, it wouldn't have allowed them to put the kind of time and money and effort into making T2 what it was.
Oh, yeah.
If they even would have made a T2, it would have changed a lot of things, man. So it just goes to show. I mean, casting is so crucial. All the other stuff is important too, but you get a good cast. It's even going back to a movie like Dark Star, like we said earlier. It's like so cheap and about as low budget as you can get for a movie like that, but the cast is so good. You have the right guys doing it, then you got something. And boy, I mean, and this was it. I mean, as much as I love Conan and all that kind of stuff, I mean, Terminator was what made Arnold, I think. That's what allowed all that other stuff.
Definitely jump-started his career, I think.
Yeah.
Made him an icon.
Definitely.
A household name.
Oh, yeah.
First time, I'm trying, well, no. Yeah, because they didn't have Terminator toys when the first movie came out, because it really wasn't marketed towards kids.
No, well, a lot of those 80s action films weren't marketed originally, but they made toys for them.
Yeah.
There was a Predator action figure, like a 12-inch.
Right.
The Alien. Right, the Kenner.
Dude, the 18-inch Kenner Alien, that's one of like the most classic toys of all time. I mean, any toy collector, worth their salt, knows that's an incredible toy. It still is. It's still regarded as one of the best toys ever made. That thing freaked me out when I saw it on the shelves when I was a kid, 1980, 79, 80. I was like, what? I don't even like looking at that thing. I didn't see Alien until years later. But anyway, it would be a different world without Terminator, folks.
Sure
that's what we're saying. So, we're going to have a whole lot more to say about Terminator in the future because as we said, we're going to do a whole Terminator shows, probably more than one. So,
yeah, I mean, maybe by that time the 6th movie will be out. We've got
that
extended universe novels here to talk about.
That would be, that would be great. If we could definitely talk about it. If we don't talk about it again before then, it would be great to talk about it when the next movie comes out, for sure. But anything you got to add about Terminator?
Nope, I think you guys covered it.
And then that's it.
Nothing.
That's it. I mean, we covered we got all of them, the top 5. That being said, man, there's so many, like we said, there's so many incredible movies that we could have discussed, but because there's a lot of really good ones. I got to say, what's really funny is, I'm kind of surprised because we've joked about it before, but I know you ain't joking. I'm kind of surprised Batman and Robin didn't make your list, man.
I really enjoy watching that movie, but you got to understand that can't possibly make my list with all these other movies we're talking about.
I would have hoped not, but you never know with you, you know.
But his performance in that is fucking hilarious, man. It's stupid, fucking dumb, over the top, but those one-liners are just, there's so much comedy gold that you can pull from them, man.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was sitting somewhere, if I was stuck somewhere and I had to watch that movie, I'd watch it and everything, but that's, you know, yeah. Anyway, there's been enough said about Batman and Robin by everybody else. There's nothing new I can add to it. It's entertaining. It'd be a good one. I think out of all the Batman movies, that's probably the one, like if I had like a 5-year-old kid that was like, I want to see a Batman movie, I'd be like, okay, watch Batman and Robin. Because, you know, for the most part, it's pretty tame. You know, it's like watching a 90s version of the 60s.
Yeah,
TV show.
that's what they were going for.
You know, so in that level, okay. That's about that's the best you're going to get out of me for that. But let's talk about honorable mentions, man. I mean, we could have a whole list of them, but just mention a couple of your honorable mentions.
For me, it's Eraser and The Sixth Day.
Yeah, I've seen Eraser. I got to be honest, I don't remember it really well.
So Eraser, have you seen it, Megan?
I don't think so.
Okay, so basically, Arnold, I think it came out in 96. Arnold plays a agent in the Witness Protection Agency. So his job is to find people that are going to be snitches and kind of go and give them new identities, fake their deaths until the trial goes over, whatever. So he does that, and there's like this plot with James Caan. He's another agent, but he's a double.
Right.
Not a double agent. He's I don't even know the word right now. But he's using that to do this scandal where he's going to make money by selling these illegal weapons to these terrorists. And these weapons are these rail guns that they call it EMP technology, but I don't think they got that correct, because it's not an electromagnetic pulse that destroys like electronic devices. It's literally using magnets to propel aluminum rounds really, really quickly, and that's how they get the momentum against it. So I don't think they worded that correctly, but yeah, the movie's actually pretty decent, man. It's a good action flick. There's like a CG alligator scene that's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Your luggage after he shoots the alligator. But it's entertaining, man. James Caan is real good in it. I love James Caan.
Yeah, I love James Caan too. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely check that one out.
Okay.
Sixth Day, just real quick. I think you had mentioned.
I started watching it.
Yeah, because
it reminded me a lot of Total Recall.
Yeah, and there's scenes that are literally like taken from Total Recall, pretty much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of similarities, but
Gotcha.
So that's why you like it.
Yeah, it has to do with human cloning, which I am fascinated with cloning and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's something we'll be talking about on the audio podcast.
Yes.
Audio podcast.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? What's the audio podcast? You mean what's the difference between this? You don't know yet. We'll tell
you didn't know?
Oh, you so ass better call somebody. Yeah. So yeah. Cool. Yeah. Meg, honorable mentions.
I think I already told you once.
Yeah.
Way back in the beginning, because I broke all the rules.
Right. Twins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely deserves to be an honorable.
Yeah,
mention.
man, that's a really good movie.
Yeah, pure comedy.
Yeah. And
Arnold
it's still
playing like completely clueless, poor little, has no idea about how life really works.
Fish out of water. Type of movie,
Exactly.
yeah.
And Danny DeVito.
Being Danny DeVito.
Being Danny DeVito, being the slime.
And it's still like an
creepy,
emotional story and movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, finding each other and then going and finding their mom and stuff. It's a cute movie. Yeah. It's a cute idea.
Yeah. For an honorable mention, man, there's so many I can mention. I like,
dude, I could have put 8 movies in that.
I like, because as I was looking at the list, I was like, oh yeah, End of Days was kind of a cool movie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
I was gonna watch it, but I didn't have time.
See, this is why we need to do a part 2 of the Schwarzenegger thing, where we talk about, and we're gonna rank movies that didn't make this list.
Okay.
And that are like ones that we maybe never saw or only saw bits of and everything, because there's so much. There's so much good ones. Got to see End of Days. I think it's cool. I liked Running Man. Gosh, what else am I looking at? Boy, oh boy. I still haven't seen, crazily enough, and I don't think any of us have, right? I haven't seen the Expendables movies.
Me either.
Nope.
No.
See, that's why we got to do a part. There's going to be a part 2. Just like with Stephen King, there's got to be a part 2 of the Schwarzenegger films. But the one that I'm going to go with that I think is, it not only is an honorable mention, but I think it's one of the most underrated ones is 1993, 94, The Last Action Hero.
Oh.
I think it deserves better. I think it's clever. I like clever shit like this. I love the whole movie in a movie kind of thing. I love like things where like F. Murray Abraham plays the one cop in there in the department with and the little boy is sitting there saying he's like, don't trust him, he killed Mozart, because he played Salieri in Amadeus, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I just love that. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'm a dork, so I'm like,
very
that's
meta
great. Yeah, I'm like, that's great. Yes, that is him. And it's corny. I mean, the movie is corny, but I forgive it for that because I feel like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I
corny.
think so. Yeah.
I like the fact that it's corny, and I just thought it was really clever. And I think maybe for the time it was too clever. It was too close because he was still making those kinds of movies for real. He was still in the thick of making Terminators and True Lies and all these other things. And then he made this movie that was almost kind of parodying it, and I don't think people knew what to make.
And they were making like those referential movies really in that time period.
Right.
Like, now we're used to it because it's all over the place. But
right, that's what I'm saying. And so I think had that movie come out like 12 years later, same plot, same whole thing, I think people would have appreciated it more. But I think at the time, people were like, "Oh, wait, what? This is stupid. Do I take this seriously, or am I supposed to laugh at this, or am I supposed to be? I don't know. Why is Death in the movie? Ian McKellen is playing Death from an art movie. Like, he came out. What? Like, I think it wasn't meant for its time. But I think it's a really good movie. I have the cup right there.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Hold that up. I have back when. I'm sure not many people held on to those, man. It was from like Burger King or something like that.
Yeah, it's from BK.
Yeah, BK. Burger King Last Action Hero cup. You had to wear like it had like a little thing on there, like a lenticular sort of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a 3D.
Yeah, I've kept that ever since. Yeah, I've got that when it came out. But I really dug that movie. It did not do well. It cost $85 million, and it says here they made about $137 million. So it didn't lose, but I mean, when you consider how much they put into advertising and all that for all that kind of shit, they lost money on that. So anyway, I think it's one of those movies that people should give another chance to now. Like, I think being that far removed from that era and everything and watching it, I think there's some merit to it. Not necessarily good enough to make my top 5, but
yeah,
right now, out of all the ones that I've seen before, not counting like ones like we said we've never seen, that's the one aside from my top 5 that I'd be the most like, I want to sit down and watch that movie again because it's just enjoyable. I enjoyed it. So that's our honorable mention. So because we got to do it, we have to real quick, and then we're out of here. We got to talk about our thanks but no thanks movies, meaning thanks Arnold for making it, but no thanks. I will pass. Vito.
A little movie called Maggie.
I've heard of it.
Megan?
I agree with you. I pick Maggie.
Yeah. Okay. So why? Tell me why, guys.
I'll start off with some bad points, but I'll give it 2 redeeming points. So when I first put it on, I heard this movie was actually supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, I heard Arnold's performance in it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm not big into zombie movies and stuff like that, but I was going to give this, I was really looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed.
Yeah. Immediately when I watched it, I was like, this is fucking annoying. Like, the cameras or the camera angles and directions they thought to take was just god awful. Like, they do the whole like shallow depth of field where the subject in front is really in focus and then the background is super blurry.
Oh,
which kind of works.
yeah.
But this time they like made the background like extra crispy focus, like not in focus. It was horrible. Like it was so distracting, and like I was like, what are you doing? It just I didn't like the art direction or whatever at all. I thought it was just awful.
I kept waiting for the build up. I was like, okay.
And then nothing happened.
I was like, what? Wait, is it over?
Right.
Really? Already?
I mean, I wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't even seem like it was that long. I kept waiting. Like, okay, where's the action? It's a zombie movie. Something's gotta happen.
Yeah.
And most was like, do you smell food?
Yes.
Like no food was cooking.
So
like she smelled her.
Yeah. It was
So she was food.
Yeah. And then the zombies were like intermingling with people that weren't zombies, and those guys were like totally accepting of them being in their club. It's like, he's a zombie. He's gonna turn and eat you. Why are you hanging out with him right now?
Right, he could turn at any moment. And then the two zombies started making out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And why the fuck is this zombie apocalypse right now? Why the fuck did she run away?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
What? Dumbass, she deserved to be a zombie.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah.
Fucking deserved it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will give this credit. Arnold was actually really good with what he had to do.
With
even
what
though
he had
there
to work
wasn't-
with.
yeah. And I thought the daughter was okay too in the role. But yeah, it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They needed more oomph.
Yeah, for sure. So
Sounds like it. I have no input because I haven't seen it. So, but
Yeah, I kept waiting. I was like, why don't they, take care of themselves? They're all worried about being burdens on their families and stuff like that. And he's like, she said like to the dad, like, when the time comes and I want you to take me out or whatever. And he finally comes to terms with it. And
yeah, it was.
I mean, it just led up to nothing. I don't want to give it all away, but
right.
I
mean, a movie doesn't have to be action packed. It could be a slow build like this was, but it has to.
Yeah, I
do
kept
something.
waiting. I was like, and like, really?
Yeah,
We're done? Okay.
Well, on a similar note of that, of just not delivering, although it's not like a suspenseful, action-packed, dramatic thing. So my thanks but no thanks is Junior.
You didn't buy him being pregnant?
That movie's so fucking ridiculous. And not like good ridiculous like some of the other stuff we talked about where it's like it's so stupid but it's good. This is just stupid. And it not only is the premise just like, okay, you're asking me to really suspend my disbelief and just really dumb myself down, like, okay, up until I was in like junior high, I thought that girls got pregnant by sucking dick. Because my logic, because I didn't know much about the female anatomy. I didn't have any.
Oh, baby grows in the stomach. Cum goes in the stomach.
I thought it
Makes
was
a
in the
baby.
stomach. I thought it was something like.
Totally makes sense.
Well,
For somebody that age, it totally makes sense.
It did to me.
Yeah, in that-
exactly.
that
I'm
time frame.
talking when I was like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old. I knew enough to know about semen. I knew about that bit of it, but I hadn't been told yet how it got in there. So I just assumed that it had to be some sort of swallowing thing. I didn't even know shit about sucking dick. I just knew that it had to be. I figured, well, you have to ingest it, right? And it goes in your stomach. Because moms would always say, oh, my stomach. It's always a stomach, not about, my womb. I didn't know shit about a womb. I didn't know stuff about like uterus. And all that. I didn't know what uterus. I'm like, what planet is that? Planet uterus, and is it next to Uranus? And it's like, in a manner of speaking, it is.
Well, technically.
It's next to my anus. But, so anyway, yeah, aside from all that, and I just, what's the actress name? Emma Thompson. She's a good actress, and she just plays this goofy, I don't know. And then, they tried to, again, they're trying to do more like, let's put Danny and Arnold back together again.
Because they're trying to cash in on that whole thing,
They were trying to cash in. And
this movie came out in the early 90s or mid 90s?
Mid 90s. It was like 94 or something like that. And it's just so harebrained and bad. And And that whole thing with, him having like those dreams, and when he dreams about that fucking Arnold baby, that weird little Arnold baby.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Yeah.
Really?
I may have seen clips because I remember, I think I saw the movie poster and I was like, this looks fucking horrible. Even at that age, I didn't want to watch it. So I just never.
Oh, I got to send you some clips. Oh, I've got clips to send you. It's so bad, and it just everything. And then at one point, then when he's got to like go hide out on the lamb because he had stolen this egg, that he fertilized himself with, because he's a scientist.
No
and
uterus needed.
And then he dresses up like a woman. And so then he plays like the second half of the movie basically in drag,
like Mrs. Doubtfire or something.
Yes, but it not anywhere near that good.
Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Was it Perfect Strangers?
No, you're thinking Bosom Buddies.
Bosom Buddies.
Oh, Bosom Buddies. That's right.
Bosom Buddies. Tom Hanks in Bosom Buddies was more convincing than this. It was, it's really bad. It's just, and it's not funny. It's not. It should be funny. It's not funny. Everything just falls real flat. And then the ending is stupid. And Danny DeVito getting back together with his wife who got pregnant by fucking Aerosmith or something like that. And let's use this as a springboard to get back together, honey. It's like she just popped fucking Joe Perry's kid out of her twat, and now like, hey, you know what? I think we should get back together now. And it's like,
he's got to take care of Joe Perry's kid.
I guess so, man. Fucking dude look like a baby. It's like, seriously, like, I don't know. You'll have to someday maybe watch it, or watch like a little recap of it or something. But it's so bad, and it's like, this is where it was like, hey, Arnold can do comedy. Hey, this is going good. Oh, he works together. Oh, fuck. They fucked up with this one. It's bad. It's so bad. It's really bad. Just
It's
take
just bad.
just take my
I believe
word for it. It's bad. Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Maggie at some point, just to see it and everything. But like Junior, man. It's got to be a fucking real slow, boring day to watch that one. It's so bad. So stupid. But anyway, so other than that, I mean, that being said, there aren't really any other Arnie movies that I've seen that I could go, well, that could be a contender, because I think a lot of them, he makes good movies. Some are definitely way better than others, but I think he makes good shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But cameras are dying and shit, so I think it's about that time.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
saying wrap this up already.
Yeah.
Who
people.
knows how long this has been? I'm sure it's another.
Almost 3 hours.
Of course it is. I've had people say to me, like my mom will say, "It's like, why do you gotta talk?" I'm like, we can't not. We try not to. But there's so much to talk about unless we started literally turning this into episodic. Where we only spend an hour talking about part of it. But I don't know. I'd rather get this all out in one film. As it is, we're talking about doing part 2, to this, which I'm sure we will do. And we've got plenty to talk. We're going to talk about Terminator. We're going to talk about Predator. We're going to talk about these other things, So it is what it is, folks. If you don't have a long enough attention span, or don't like just pausing us to listen to us again some more tomorrow on your commute.
Exactly. Do it in spurts.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're best in spurts. Here we go again.
And we're back to the beginning.
And just don't swallow it, because that's apparently how you get pregnant. And then you make fucked up Arnold baby, or have one of the baby pop out with like fucking Vito head,
Go,
like that guy. Papa! Oh my God. You're going to have to put a picture of that in there. It's so bad. Anyway, but what hasn't been bad is I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about Arnold tonight.
It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. And as you already heard, we've got so many ideas, more than we can fucking handle. Can people just I don't know, buy us a winning lottery ticket or something like that, so we could just do this all the time? Because there's just not enough days in the week.
Nope.
Or if you do like what you see in here, we do have a Patreon page.
We do have a Patreon. Any little teeny bit helps, man.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Even if you can't support us financially, which is totally fine, it's totally okay. We do want to hear from you.
Your likes and comments, please.
Likes and especially those comments, man.
Share us, rate and review us on iTunes. That's a huge help.
Yeah. Any of you that are listening to this, please review us on your iTunes. That's a really big thing. It really makes a huge difference in how well this show does, and there's so much to this, but more than anything, not even just that, we get so excited when you guys leave comments
because we know people actually listen to the stuff we're doing,
and we like to talk to you guys about it. When somebody comes and is like, I don't know how you liked that movie, blah blah blah, you'll see Vito will reply. We all reply.
Yeah, we watch them.
Yeah,
we read your comments on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram. We want to talk to you guys. We're really lonely. We're stuck down here. We're stuck down here in this damp, godforsaken, cold studio basement. And, we want to hear from you. So comments, subscribe, share. Definitely share. Let people know, Thanks to Carrie Gordon from Metal Geeks for coming out the other day and for providing us with our sustenance through recording this. Megan and I ate all the jelly beans.
They were very yummy.
Yeah,
some were questionable flavors.
There were some questionable ones. There might have been a couple of booger ones in there, but
things are so gross, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can eat them.
We do have a couple of black licorice left for you, though.
Yeah,
you can come get those.
You can have those. Come back up and get them. But on that note, it is time to say good night, good day, farewell, sayonara,
hasta la vista, baby.
There you go. That's the note.
That's it.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the podcast.
Let us know what you think in the comments, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Please click on the links in the description to follow us, and make sure you hit that subscribe button below.
And if you want to help us out, please check out our Patreon page as well.
We'll be back with more soon.
Thanks.
Holy shit, did we do it?
Yeah, we did it.